And let's just refresh that. We're not seeing anything. Let me just go ahead and go to my console, and we are now getting the requested module. Loader.jsx does not provide an name export. God damn. We have to just import that like so. So now let me just save that and refresh that. And still, how the hell we define our loader component? Let me just go ahead and go to my components. Then we have a loader already. Oh, we did not even specify anything inside there. So now let me just create a loader component right here, save our file and refresh that. And I guess we are gonna have to remove these curly braces from there. And now let me just rename that to a loader and refresh that. And here you can see we are now getting a register right here, which is totally awesome. So yeah, that's cool. We are now making a lot of progress. We are now getting into creating the user. Okay, so what I want to do is that I want to create a form, and inside this form we are not going to be defining the action, and inside this form we are going to be also providing a class name of container first of all, and the width will be 40 rem. And inside this form we are going to be just creating a div with the class of my, and we are going to be just giving it 2 rems. And inside this div, you know, let's just close it. Let me just close that. And inside this div we are going to be defining our label, label, and we are not going to be providing any HTML, or you know, I am going to be providing the HTML4 of name. And let's just define our classes like block of text small, font will be medium, and text will be totally set to white. And now inside this label we are going to be just defining the name. Now let's just save that, and here you can see we are now getting the name. And now underneath this label, what do you want to do? We are going to be creating our input, and inside this input the type will be set to text, and we are going to be also defining the ID of name right here. And now let me just provide a class name of margin for a top of 1, border, and also rounded, and width will be set to totally full, and also the placeholder will be set to enter name. Okay, and also the value we are going to be defining, which we already declared up above, which will be the username. And on change, when somebody clicks or writes something, not clicks, but when somebody starts to type something inside this input, we are going to be just using our set, not interval, but set username. There we go. And we are going to be just providing the e.target.value inside there. So now let me just save that. And here you can see we are getting our input, but that's looking supremely awful. I don't know why, but that's looking totally awful. Let me just right click on that and disable that. Yeah, that's looking nasty. You know, I'm gonna just provide the padding of 2 to it. So now let's just save that, and that's looking totally amazing. But now let me just take care of this background colors. So now let me just right click on that and disable the dark force. Disable the dark force. Let me just go ahead and go to my index.css file, and we are going to be just defining these classes and these styling right here. So we are just first of all providing a background color of this to our body, and the text color will be totally set to white. And then we're selecting our input field and also our text area, and we are making that totally black. Same for the select an option, we are now making that totally black. So now let me just cut that from here, and let's just preview that. And now let me just right click on that, disable force will look like this, and also undisable will look something like this. So yeah, we are getting there. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to just grab that. I'm going to just duplicate that, I don't know, for a few times. I'm going to just select this div with a class name of margin for the y-axis of 2, and I'm going to just duplicate that a few times. I'm going to duplicate that first of all for the email, then for the password, then for the confirm password. Okay, so now let me just go to the top, and here you can see first of all we have the name right here, and then we are going to be changing this value to the email in this case. And now let me just type the email as a label, and I'm going to also change the type to email as well. So now let me just provide the email right here, and we are going to be also providing the email right here as well. And instead of providing the enter your name, we are going to be just defining the enter email and also the email here as well. And then we have to just write a set email. Okay, so now let me just save that. Also, we're going to have to change this one to password, so I'm going to just change the label to password, and we're going to be also changing this one to password as well. The type will be password, and also the name or ID will be also set to password, and enter your password like that. And it should be the email address rather. I'm going to just change this label to email AWDRESS. This is the password, and then we have to provide a password confirmation. But here we're going to have to also remove their username and change that to password, and here set password like that. And that's totally cool. But now the final thing which you have to do is that we have to just write confirm password, and also we have to write a confirm, come on, so CNFIRM password like that. and now underneath that we're going to be also providing the password once again, and also we have to just provide a confirm password, and then we have to just write confirm password like that. And now let me just provide a confirm password. Now let me just copy that, or you know what, let's just provide set confirm password right here. Now let me just save that, and here you can see we are now getting the input of name, and also for the email, and also for the password and confirm password. And now the next thing which you want to do is that underneath this div we are going to be creating our button right here. So I'm going to just create a button, and inside this button we're going to be providing a disable state of loading. If it is loading, then we're going to be just disabling that. Otherwise we are going to be just providing the type of submit to that, and also the classes, and the classes are a lot, and I'm going to just copy the classes. And now let me just place that right here, save our file, and you can also type there if you wanted to, but here what I want to do is that I want to just write if is loading. So what do you want to do? We just want to write registering ... and if that's not the case, we just want to write a registered. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that's cool. But now underneath this button, what do you want to do? We just want to show our loader. So I just want to write is loading, and then we have to just write our loader. So loader, and now let me just close that, save our file, and that's cool. But now underneath this form, what do you want to do? We just want to provide a div with a class of margin for the top will be set to totally 4, and now inside there we're going to be providing a paragraph with a class of text totally wide, and now inside they already have an account. If you already have an account, then let's just provide an empty space right here. Underneath there we're going to be also providing a link, and it should redirect us to, first of all let me just write a redirect, redirect, and if it's redirect, so we're going to be just providing the login question mark and redirect, and here we're going to be just rendering or redirect dynamically. So now let me just make that as a template literals, and here we're going to be just providing or redirect. So if that's not the case, we're going to be just going into the login screen. Okay, so now here I'm going to just write login right here, but I'm going to also provide a classes right here. Now let me just place these classes right here, save our file, and here you can see we are now getting our register button, and we are also getting this already have an account, and we are now getting this login right here. Okay, which is totally okay and amazing. But finally we are going to be also attaching some sort of an image right here underneath all of these divs, but up above the last one we're going to be just placing this image right here, and you can find this same image in my GitHub repository. And now let me show you how that's gonna look like, and it is looking not okay. Okay, so I'm going to just change the width to, I don't know, maybe 55 or something like that, save our file, and now that's looking totally better. And here you can see we have our data right here, which is totally okay, but we have to attach our event handler to our form. Okay, so inside this form we are going to be attaching our event handler, and the event will be on submit when somebody submit this form. So we're going to be just writing submit handler, come on, handler, and now let's just create our submit handler right here. So we're going to be just writing a submit handler, it's going to be equals to the asynchronous function, and we're going to be just providing a e. Now let me just use that e right here. So we're going to be just writing a prevent default right here. So now let's check if our password is not equal to the confirmed password. So what do you want to show to the user? We just want to show the toast dot error right here, and we're going to be just writing like password do not match. And if that's not the case, so we're going to be just writing our try and catch blocks, and inside the catch block we're going to be just writing our err. Let me just make that as a total err, and then we're going to be just writing our console.log of total error, and then we have to just write a toast dot error, and we are going to be just providing our error.data.message. Okay, so now inside the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to get the response, so we're going to be just using await. And now let's just use our register function from the RTK query, and we're going to be providing our username, which the user will provide, and also the email and the password, and we are going to be just using the unwrap at the end. And now underneath that we're going to be just using a dispatch, and now we also have to provide our set credentials right here, because currently we are now dispatching our store. Okay, so now inside there we're going to be providing every single thing which we are providing inside this res variable. If everything is okay, so we are going to be also navigating to the redirect. Okay, so now underneath that we are going to be just also using the toast.success, and now let's just provide a user successfully register registered or create new account or something like that. Now let me just save that, and now let's just try this out. So I'm gonna just reload that, and currently we don't have nothing, or I guess we have a lot of users right here. Now let me just go ahead and go to my users. So we have 5 users right here. Let me just check the last one. Let's just check the last one, and the last one is Sprite. So I'm going to be creating yet another user. So I'm going to just give it the name of, like, I don't know, keyboard or something like that, and keyboard@gmail.com. And as a password, I'm going to be providing a keyboard 12. Come on, let's just retype that, keyboard 12 and keyboard 12. And now let me just click on this register button, and here you can see it's going to just create a new user, and it's going to also set the JSON token inside the cookie. So now let me just show you that, and now let me just go ahead and go to my application right here. And now let me just expand that so you guys can see everything a bit better. Now let me just go ahead and go to my session storage, and not a session storage but a local storage. So here you can see we have our user info, and we have a specific user ID right here, and we also have a user credentials, and then we have an expiration time, which will be that much days. Okay, so yeah, we are not only able to successfully register the user, and now let me make sure that we are saving the user to our database. So now let me just, here you can see we currently have 5 users right here, but now let me just refresh that, and here you can see we have a 6 user. And now let me just check this out. We have a keyboard as a name, and then we have a keyboard@gmail.com as an email, and then we have an encrypted password, and the user is not an admin. So yeah, this is how we are going to be registering the user inside our application. So that was it about how we are going to be registering the user. And now let me just take care of the loader, and I'm not going to be wasting your time, but I am going to just place this CSS right here, and you just have to type this CSS, and it's going to give you an amazing loader. And now let's just close it. Okay, so that was it about for the loader, and now let's just take care of the login. Okay, we already defined that. Now let me just show you that. So I'm going to just close that right here, and here you can also see, by the way, we have our name right here, and if I click on the name, so we have a logout handler not defined. We are going to be also taking care of that in a few seconds, but now let me just go ahead and go to my login screen. And you know what, first of all, we're going to have to remove our what do you call it, our cookie right here, then we will be able to log in. So I'm going to just remove every single thing from there. And now if I just refresh my browser, and here you can see it's going to give us that register and also that login. Now let me just click on this login, and here you can see it's going to give us that login. Let's just click on that. So I'm not going to be wasting your time, but I'm going to go ahead and go to my register component, and I'm going to copy every single thing from there, I mean, like from the top. And now let me just place it right here, but instead of writing a use register, we're going to be just using a use login mutation right here. And that's everything we need for now. When we're logging the user, we're going to need the email and the password from the user. So we're going to be creating a stat for the email first of all, and it's going to be equals to the use stat, not selector but use stat, and we have to just define it as an empty stat or empty string rather. And we're going to be also getting the password from the user, so set password is going to be equals to the use stat, and we are going to be just providing an empty string inside there. And now let me just create an instance of dispatch, and it's going to be equals to the use dispatch. And now let me just we're not going to be providing anything inside a dispatch, but we are going to be just creating an instance of navigate, navigate, and it's going to be equals to the use navigate. And now let's just execute that. And now let me just grab the login function from my RTK query, which will be the use login mutation. And now inside there, we are going to be just getting our login, and we are going to be also destructuring the is loading. Now underneath that, we are going to be creating our const user info, and it's going to be equals to the use selector. And now let me just pass my stat first of all, and here we are going to be grabbing our stat from the stat auth. So now underneath that, we are going to be doing the same thing. Like first of all, we are going to have to grab the search from the use location. So we're going to be just grabbing that from the use location. Then we have to just create our search parameter by using the URL search param, search params, and we are going to be just passing our search inside there. And now let me just provide a redirect, and it's going to be equals to the search parameter, and we are going to be getting the redirect from there. And now let me just use, if that's not the case, we are going to be going into the home. And now underneath that, we are going to be just providing our use effect, and we are going to be providing our function inside there. And for the dependency array, we're going to be providing our navigate and the redirect, and also the user info inside there. And now inside this use effect, we are going to be checking if you already have the user info. So what do you want to do in that case? We just want to navigate to that redirect which we already created up above. So now let me just save that, and now let's just write a lot of JSX. Now let me just remove this login from here, and I'm going to be just creating a section, and I'm going to just give it the class names of, first of all, the padding for the left will be set to 10 rem, and we are going to be also providing a flex and flex of totally wrap. And now inside there we are going to be also defining margin for the right, and it's going to be equals to 4 rem. Okay, so let's just provide our 4 rem right here. Margin for the top will be set to 5 rem, and now inside there we are going to be just defining our h1 of sign in baby and also we have to provide the text of 2XL, and also the font will be semi bold, and then we have to provide margin for the bottom of 4. Now let's just save that, and here you can see we are now getting our sign in button right here, or not a button but a label. And now underneath that we're going to be creating our form right here, and we're not going to be providing any actions to that, but we will provide a classes to it. So we're going to be defining the container, and width will be set to 40 rem. And now inside there we're going to be just creating a div with a class of margin for the y-axis of 2 rem. And now inside there we are going to be creating our label, and inside this label we are going to be providing the email, and also for the classes we are going to be providing the block, and text will be set to totally small, and font will be set to medium like that, and text will be also set to totally wide as well. And here we just have to provide our email address like that. Now let me just save that, and it's going to look something like this. And here you can see we are now getting our email right here. And now what I want to do is that underneath this label we are going to be creating our input, and let me just provide an email as a type. And now I'm going to also provide the ID of email. Let me provide a classes of margin for a top of 1, and padding all around will be set to 2, border and totally rounded, and also width will be set to totally full. And I'm going to be also providing a placeholder to that, and I'm going to just say like enter email or something like that, and I'm going to provide the value of email in this case. And now let me just provide when somebody writes something inside there. So we are going to be just providing the set email, and we are going to be just providing the e.target.value inside there. Now let me just save that, and here you can see we are getting our input field right here, which is totally amazing. But now we have to duplicate that, so I'm going to just select this div, and I'm going to just duplicate that, I don't know, maybe 2 times. You know what, I'm going to just duplicate that 1 time. And now let's just change that from email to password. So I'm going to just write a password in this case, and password, there we go. And also we have to just remove this email from here, email from there, and we have to just write a password right here. And I'm going to also remove this enter email. Instead of writing an enter email, we are going to be just providing an enter password, and I'm going to also provide the password here, and also the set password, there we go. Now let me just save that, and here you can see we are now getting our password as well. Now let me just type something inside there. So that's the password, and that's the email. Yep, that's looking amazing. But now underneath that, underneath this div, we are going to be creating yet another button, and now this button will be disabled, and we are going to be just checking the loading. If it's loading, so this button will be totally disabled. Otherwise we are going to be providing a type of submit. And now let me just provide a classes, and it has a lot of classes. So now let me just copy and place that. So I'm going to just copy that, and now let me just place these classes right here, and I'm going to just save that. Okay, so now inside this button, what do you want to do? We just want to check if it's loading. So we just want to provide a signing, come on, signing, signing in, and then dot dot dot. And if that's not the case, so we're going to be just providing the sign in. Okay, so now let me just save that. And now underneath that we are going to be also providing a loader. So underneath this button we are going to be just providing, if it's loading, then we also have to render or loader. Okay, so now let me just close that right here, save our file. And underneath this form we are going to be creating our div with a class of margin for the top will be set to 4, and then we have to just specify the paragraph of text totally white. And inside there we are going to be just providing a new custom, come on, custom, and then here we just have to provide an empty space. Okay, so now inside there we are going to be also providing a link, and this link will go to, let me just provide a tool right here. First of all, the reader, come on, redirect. And if it is a redirect, so we just want to provide first of all the register and redirect the user to the specific redirect right here. And if that's not the case, so we are going to be just providing the register. There we go. And as a label, we are going to be just providing the register right here. And I'm going to also provide a few classes right here. So I'm going to just say like text of TL 500, and when somebody hover over there, so we're going to be just providing the underline right here. So now let me just save there. And that was a lot of talking. And here you can see we are getting our signing in and also the new customer right here. And now underneath this div, we are going to be providing our image right here, and you can also copy this same image from my GitHub repository. So now let me just save there. And here you can see we are getting this image once again, which is looking totally awful. So I'm going to make there 55 save file, and here you can see that's looking a bit better. Now let me just provide my handler to this form. So I'm going to just found my form, and here we're going to be attaching our event handler when somebody submit this form. So we're going to be just attaching the submit handler. And now let me just copy that from here, and now let's just create that right in here. So const handle submit handler handle submit handler, what the hell. And we are going to be just providing a prevent default, and now let's just save that. And underneath that, we're going to be using our try and catch, and for the catch block we're going to be providing a toast of error. And if we have some sort of an error, then you know what, let me just change this one to ERR, and then we are going to be just getting the specific data from there, and then a specific message from that data. And if that's not the case, so we're going to be just providing an error.total error. And for a try block, we're going to be just defining our response and await of login, and we are going to be providing this email credential and also the password. But this should be an asynchronous function, so async, there we come on, async, there we go. And here I'm going to just unwrap that, so unwrap, and now let's just close that. And we're going to be also dispatching, so set credential, and we're going to be sending all of that credential to our store. And now let me just navigate there to the redirect. Okay, so now let me just save that, and now let's just test this out, baby. And I'm going to just log in as a keyboard, and now let me just provide a keyboard 12. Now let me just click on this sign in, and here you can see we are now successfully signed in, and you can also see my name right here. So now let me just take care of the logout and also this navigation right here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my navigation, and now let me just search for the logout handler. Oh, we are not okay, we are providing one. So let's just click on that. So we are providing our login handler, but we are not creating one. So now let me just copy that from here, go to the top, and now underneath all of that, up above this JSX, we're going to be creating our logout handlers. So we're going to be just defining our asynchronous function, and inside there we're going to be just using our try and catch block. And for the error, we're going to be just logging like console.error, this specific error right here. We're not going to be doing anything else in there. And let's just use await and logout API call, which we are already grabbing. And now let me just use the unwrap inside there, and now let's just execute that. Then we're going to be also dispatching our our store by providing this logout function to there. And then we're going to be just navigating to an AVIGATE. We're going to be navigating to the login screen. So now let me just save there, and if I click on that, so it's going to give us the profile, which we did not create. But if I click on this logout, you know, first of all, let me just show you something. I'm going to go ahead and go to my inspect element, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to my application, and here you can see we have our user information right here. Now let me just make it a bit smaller like that. We have our user information right here. As soon as I click on this logout button, and here you can see we are getting an error. Let's just check it out. So we have our logout, and we have unauthorized, and what's up with that? And it took me a while, and I finally found it. What in the world are we doing in here? We are destructuring the logout API call from the use login mutation, and that's not correct. We're gonna have to grab that from the use logout mutation. So I'm going to just go ahead and go to my users first of all, and now let's just create an endpoint for logging out the user. And I'm going to create the underneath this register, and I'm going to just give it the name of like logout, and it's going to be a builder.mutation. And here inside there, we're going to be providing a query. And now let's just provide our arrow function right here. And inside this arrow function, we're going to be defining first of all the URL, and the URL will go to the user's URL, and then specifically to the logout. And then underneath there, we're going to be also defining the method of totally post. Let's just save there. I'm going to copy the name of there, or even I'm gonna just put a comma here and then use log out mutation. I'm gonna copy that and save there. Now let me just go ahead and go to my navigation right here. Let me just place it right here, and also I'm going to be grabbing the use log out mutation right here. Now let me just save that, and I'm going to just refresh there once again, and I want to show you that thing once again. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my what do you call it, my application right here, and here you can see we have our user information. But now if I click on that and click on my logout, and here you can see that information is now successfully gone, and we are now getting the login, or it will redirect us to the login page right here. Okay, so yeah, that's looking cool, and now we are totally done with the logging in and logging out. So now let me just try that once again, and in this case I'm going to just log in as an apple@gmail.com, and then we have apple12 or something like, or dot. Let me just click on that. It's going to give us like user not defined, or if I just remove that and let's just empty out every single thing. Now let me just click on that, so it's going to give us that this user is not defined. You can provide more validation than that, but in my case that's going to do it. And now let me just log in a user. So I'm going to just log in myself like Hussain@gmail.com, and we have Hussain12 right here. And now let me just click on a sign in, and here you can see we are now admin, so it's going to give us that dashboard, also the profile, and also the logout. So now if I click on the logout, it's going to bring us to this page right here. Now the next thing which I want to do is that I want to click on this register button, and we want to register that Apple users. So we have Apple, uppercase Apple, then we have apple@gmail.com, and the password will be apple12 and apple, come on, APPLE12. Now let me just click on this register button, and it's going to just successfully register that Apple. Now let me just log out and try there once again. So we have that Apple, and now let me just try the apple12 and hit enter, and it's gonna log in that specific Apple right here. Okay, so this is how we are going to be creating a user, and this is how we are going to be registering our own users. Now that's cool, but now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to take care of the user profile and also the private route. So what I want to do is that I want to go ahead and go to my auth one more time, and we're going to be creating a separate component for private routes.jsx right here. Okay, so it should be just private route not with the s. And now I'm going to be just defining my RAFC right here. And inside this private route, the first thing which I want to do is that I want to go to the top, and we're going to be grabbing our navigate. Let's just grab our navigate, and also the outlet as well, from the React router and DOM. And underneath that, we're going to be using the use selector. Come on, the use selector from the React and Redux. And now underneath that, we are going to be just grabbing first of all the user information. So we are going to be just using const, and let's just destructure our user info from our use selector, and we're going to be just defining our state right here, and we are going to be just getting our state from the auth. And now underneath that, what I want to do, let's just remove these stuff from here, and I'm going to be using my user info. And if you already have the user info, then we are going to be providing our outlet component. And if you don't have the user info, so we are going to be just navigating our user to the login screen. Okay, so now we are going to be just replacing that, and now let's just close that. So this is how we are going to be defining our private route, and now let's just use it inside our main component. Okay, so now what I want to do is that underneath this register, I'm going to be using my route. Let me just provide a route in uppercase, and path will be totally empty string. And I'm going to also provide my element, and the element will be just my private route. Come on, private, and routes or route. And now let me just close that right here like that. And now inside there, we're going to be doing our magic. But first of all, let me just copy that from here, and we are going to be placing that right here inside this restricted area. So private route, from where let's just go ahead and go to our pages component. Inside this pages component, we have auth, and inside this auth we have our private routes right here. Now let me just save that, and now inside there we're going to be defining our route for our profile component. So we are going to be creating our profile component right here. I guess we did not create that, so here you can see we have a user, and inside this user we are going to be creating our profile.jsx right here. Now let me just use my RAFC, save that, and now let's just come back to my main, and here we're going to be defining our route, and let me just provide a path to that, and the path will be profile, and we're going to be also providing the elements and the element. And now let me just provide my profile component. Let's just auto grab that, and now let's just save that like so, save our file. and we're going to be taking care of the profile component in a few seconds. But now we have to check this out. I'm going to just provide, I don't know, maybe Apple, and then we have a Apple 12 login. Oh god, APPLE12. Okay, I just forgot the password of that. I'm gonna log in with myself, so hossein@gmail.com and hossein12. And here you can see we are now successfully logged in. Now let me just click on that, and now if I click on the profile component, so it will brings us to this profile right here. Okay, so which is totally amazing. And now let me just click on that, and now let me just take care of this profile component. The first thing which I would do is that I'm going to be grabbing first of all my import use effect and also the use stat as well. And the next thing which I'm going to do is that I'm going to be grabbing my use dispatch and also the use selector. Come on, selector from where? From the React Redux library. And underneath that we're going to be also getting our toast as well. From where? From our React Toastify. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to be also getting our loader, which we already created, and underneath there we're going to be also getting our set credentials from our features. And now I'm gonna just save my file. Let me just go ahead and go to my users and define our endpoint right here. Okay, so underneath this logout I'm going to define my profile. So profile, and I'm going to be using a builder.mutation because we are sending some sort of a data, and we have to just provide our query. Let me just provide my data inside there, and inside there we're going to be defining our URL, and here we just have to render our user URL, and we specifically want to go to the profile. And now let me just provide a comma here, and the method will be a put method because in this case we're going to be changing our data. And now let me just provide a body, and the body will be that data which we are already grabbing as a parameter right here. Okay, so now let me just provide my use profile mutation. No, not this one. Use prof. There we go. So use profile mutation. Now let me just copy that and save this file. Now let me just grab that right here. So I'm going to be grabbing my use profile mutation from from my Redux API and user. So now let me just save that, and now let me just create a lot of stats right here. So const username and also set username is going to be equals to the use stat, and we have to just define our stat right here. Then we have to write our email and set email, and it's going to be equals to the use stat. Come on, use stat, and inside there we're going to be just defining our empty string, and then we have to just write our password, and set password will be now equals to the use stat. One more time, not selector, the use stat, and here we just have to provide our empty string, and then const we have to just define a confirm. So FIRM password like that. Hope the spelling is correct. Set confirm password is going to be also equals to the use stat, and let's just define our empty string right here. CONFIRM password. There we go. Now underneath that we're going to be also getting the user information, so let's just grab that, and we're going to be destructuring the user info, and it's going to be equals to the use selector, and here we just have to provide our stat, and inside this stat we're going to be getting our stat.auth. Now underneath that let's just use our RTK query, and we're going to be destructuring the update profile, and we are going to be also destructuring the is loading like that, and I'm going to just rename that to loading update profile. I'm going to rename my is loading to the loading update profile, and it's going to be equals to the use profile mutation. And now underneath that we're going to be also defining our use effect, and inside that we're going to be passing our arrow function, and I'm going to be using the set username, and it's going to be equals to the user info. We are now getting the user information right here, and now let me just duplicate. Oh god damn, what the hell am I doing? Let's just duplicate that and change the user information to the email right here as a dependency array. We are going to be just providing our what do we call it, the user info dot email, and also the user info dot username. There we go. Now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to create an instance of dispatch, the use dispatch hook, and now let me just execute that. Okay, so that's cool, but finally we have to write a lot of JSX right here. Let me just remove my profile right here, and I'm going to be creating a div with a class of container, and margin for the x-axis will be set to auto, and padding will be 4. Margin for the top will be set to something like 10 rem. Okay, and now let me just close that. And inside this div, we're going to be defining this div right here. I just copy it and place there, and you should do the same. And now let me just close that right here. Okay, so now I'm going to just close that, and inside this div we're going to be creating yet another div, and I'm going to be just using class name of margin for the margin for the, or not margin, but MD screen size will be just width of 1/3. And then here we're going to be just defining our h2 right here. So h2 will be update profile, and now as a classes we're going to be defining like text of 2XL, and font will be semi bold, and also margin for bottom will be set to 4. Now let me just save that, and here you can see we are now getting our update profile right here. And now underneath that, what do you want to do? We just want to create our form, and I'm not going to be attaching any action to it, so let's just remove that. And inside this form we are going to be just creating a div with a class of margin for a bottom of 4. And now inside there we're going to be just creating a label, and for the label we're not going to be attaching any HTML4 to that, so let's just remove that. And I'm going to be also providing a class name of block, and text will be set to totally white, and margin for bottom will be set to 2, and it's going to be a name. Okay, so now let me just provide a name right here, save our file. And now underneath that we're going to be creating our input, and for the input the type will be set to text, but the placeholder will say like enter your name, or enter name would be fine. And now I'm going to be also providing a class names of form input, and also padding all around will be set to 4, and totally rounded or small, and also the width will be set to totally full. Okay, we're going to be also providing a value, and the value will be the username. Okay, so outside from there we are going to be also attaching the on change event handler right here. When somebody types something inside there, so we're going to be just pushing that to the set username, and we are going to be just defining the e.target.value. Now let me just save that, and here you can see it's going to give us my email, like I logged in as Hussein right here, so that's why we are now getting our hussein@gmail.com. Now let me just refresh that, and we are still getting this email right here. Okay, so that's cool, but I want to duplicate this div right here one more time. Not one more time, but I'm going to be duplicating there for the email, the password, and also for the confirm password. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go to the top. So this is going to be my name, and then we have our email address. So email, if I can write email, ADDRESS like that, and let me just provide an email right here and enter your email. There we go, and everything is totally okay. Let me just provide my email. Let's just provide our set email, right? Come on, not intermediate or something like that, but we have a set email. What are we providing for the email? Let's just go to the top, and set email. Let me just provide a set. Now let me just copy that, go to the bottom, and I just lost it. Okay, there we go. So here you can see we're going to be using our set email right here in this case. And now let's just provide for the password. So we have a password right here, and now let's just remove that and change that as a password and enter your password. So let's just remove that and change that to the password, and here we're going to be also using the password, and this is going to be the set password. There we go, not confirmed, but just a set password. I guess I didn't define that above. So we have the, god damn it, I always forgot this T. So we have a set password right here, and now let me just use that. We have a set email, and then we have a set password right here. Now let me just change that to confirm password, PASSWORD, so CONFIRM, confirm password. And now let's just change this one to the password as well. Then I'm going to just write confirm password or something like that, CONFIRM password. There we go. And let's just change this one to confirm password, and this one to the set confirm password as well. Okay, so CONFIRM. And now let me just copy that from here and go to the top, and we have to update it right here as well. So now let me just save that, and that's looking totally cool. Now underneath this div and up above this form, we're going to be just creating a div with the class of flex, and justify will be set to between. And now inside there we're going to be just creating a button. Let's just define our button, and inside that button we're going to be defining the type of submit right here. And yeah, I'm going to be just grabbing the classes from my own code. So now let me just copy that And now let me just place it right here, and here let me just provide my update, save our file, and this is how we are going to be updating our button. And now underneath this div, we are going to be just defining the label of, if we have the loading update profile, then we have to provide our loader. And now let's just close that, save our file, and yeah, I guess that's every single thing that we need for the UI. So we are now getting the email right here. Why are we getting the email right here for the name? We have to be getting our email right here in this input. And now let me just go to the top, and what we are doing is that we have a set username, we have a set email right here, but now let me just go to my there we go. So we have a set email right here in this case, and save our file. And now let me just check this out. So we have a name, and then we have an email right here, which is totally amazing. Now let me just provide a functionality for that, so when somebody changes something inside there, then we will be able to update there. So I'm going to just log out because this person is an admin, and I want to just log in as someone else, like I don't know, maybe Alex would be fine. And I'm going to just write like alex@gmail.com and alex12, and this user is not created. Let's just check out the Alex. I forgot the password of that. And we have Hossein, we have the computer. Let me just log in as a computer. So let's just write computer@gmail.com, and we have a computer12, I guess, and there we have it. Okay, now let me just click on this profile, and it's gonna allow us to change this profile right here. But now the first thing which I want to do is that I want to attach my event handler on this form. On submit, not scroll but submit, we're going to be attaching the form, or not a form handler, submit handler would be fine. Now let me just copy that and create that right here. So now let me just create that right here. I'm going to be creating const submit handler, and it's going to be equals to the asynchronous function. We're going to be just providing our e for the event, and now let me just use my e prevent default and execute that. Now underneath that, we are going to be checking if the password is not equal to the confirmed password. So we are going to be just showing this toast, so toast.error and passwords do not match. Okay, and now underneath that, we're going to be also providing the else clause, and for the else clause we're going to be defining the try and catch blocks. For the catch, we are going to be just writing the error error and the err. And now let me just use the toast.error, and now let me just define my error, and we are going to be getting the data from there, data, and then we are going to be also getting a specific message from there. And if that's not the case, we just have to write a error dot total error. There we go. Now for the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to const res, and we want to update our profile. And how we are going to be updating our profile? First of all, we are going to be defining the ID. It's going to be coming from the user info, and then that specific ID, and then we are going to be defining the username, and we are going to be also providing the email and also the password which the user will give us. And now let me just use the unwrap on there. And finally here we just have to dispatch or store by just providing the set credentials to there. So credentials, and here we have to pass our response, the overall response, and we have to also write a toast.success, and we are going to be just writing a profile updated successfully. Okay, so now let me just save there, and here you can see we have all of the data, and I'm gonna just change there to like, I don't know, maybe mango or something like that, and mango@gmail.com. And I'm gonna also provide the mango12 and mango12 right here. And now if I click on this update button, and it's gonna give us an error. And what's up with that error? Now let me just check this out. We didn't mess up something in this component. Let's just right click on there and go to my inspect element. Then I'm gonna go ahead and go to my network, or first of all, let me just check out the console. The server responded with the status of 401 unauthorized. Let me just click on there once again. So we are now getting that from the profile, and we are going into the profile. We are providing the payload of let's just check this out. We're providing the email, we're providing the password, the username. Oh, so we are now getting the error of duplicate key error, collection movie app user, and that's because we already created the mango user. So now let me just try to create some unique user. Now let's just refresh there. And what name should I give it? I don't know. God damn it, I just forgot the name. I'm going to just provide a James, and we have a james@gmail.com, and I'm going to just write like James12, James12, and it should be in lowercase j. And now let me just click on this update button, and it's going to just give us that profile updated successfully. And we are also getting that James right here. So here you can see we are now getting this James, and this is how we are going to be updating a specific user. So now let me just search there inside my database, and now let me just refresh there, and we have the Apple right here. I'm searching for the James, so I guess that computer was the first one, and we now updated there to the James right here. And yeah, this is how we are going to be updating a specific user, and this is how we are going to be getting a specific user information and updating there. So now let me just log out, and yeah, this is how we are going to be updating a specific user. So that was about for the user management. And now let's talk about how we are going to be making a genres. So I'm going to just close my terminal, and I'm going to be just using the npm run backend in this case, and it's going to just start our backend because currently we are going to be working with the backend. And now let me just go ahead and go to my index, and now we are going to be using app.use. First of all, you want to go to the API like that, then you want to go to the version 1 and then genre, okay, and then genre routes. And now let me just copy that. We're going to be importing that right here, but first of all we have to create that. But before we create that, first of all we have to create a model for that. So I'm going to just create a model, give a name of like genre.js. I'm going to grab my mongoose from the mongoose, and now let me just create my genre schema like that. It's going to be equals to the new mongoose dot, not this one, mongoose, come on, mongoose dot schema. And here inside there we're going to be providing the name, and this name will take the type of string, and also the trim will be set to true, and also it should be required, and it's going to be equals to true. The maximum length which you are going to be providing is length is going to be just 32. And now let me just also make it as unique, and it's going to be set to true. And now finally we're going to be just exporting that by using mongoose.model, and then we have to just write a genre, and here we just have to pass our genre schema. Now let me just save that, and this is how we are going to be creating our genre. Now let me just go ahead and create my routes right here, which will be the genre routes.js. And now inside there, first of all we are going to be importing the express from the express.js, and then we are going to be creating const router, and it's going to be equals to express.router. Now underneath there we're going to be getting our controllers, and yeah, that's going to be, and also we would get our middlewares as well. I forgot to show you there, middlewares, there we go. You know what, let me just get my middlewares right here. So authenticate and also authorize as an admin. So now we are successfully grabbing that. Let's just remove that from the end, and now let me just define my route. So router.route, and when somebody go to that specific route, so we want to just post, and the user should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin, then they would be able to create the genre. So now let me just export that. So export default and router. Okay, so that's cool, but now we have to grab that inside our index file, and I'm going to be getting that. So I'm going to just write a genre routes, GNRS routes, from where, let's just go ahead and go to or routes, not this one, come on, routes, and inside there we have our genre routes right here. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna just make sure that I just provide there right here, save file, and let me just check, and we don't have any errors. We have error right here because we are not providing this controller right here, so we're gonna have to grab that. But first of all we have to create our controller file, and I'm gonna name that as a genre controller.js. and now inside there, first of all I'm gonna be getting my genre from where, from, let's just go ahead and go to my models, and then we have to go ahead and go to the genre.js, and then we also have to get our asynchronous handler async handler. And now let me just copy that, and here we're going to be just creating the genre. It's going to be equals to this async handler, and we're going to be just passing our asynchronous request response, and inside there we're going to be using our try and catch. For the catch block we're going to be just passing these errors, and for the try block, first of all we're going to be destructuring the name from where, from the request and body, which the user is going to be specifying, or the admin in this case is going to be specifying. And now let me just check if we don't have the name, like if the user did not specify the name, so we just have to return the res.json, and we are going to be just providing some sort of an error right here. and name is required. And now underneath there, we're going to be searching for the existing EXISTING genre is going to be equals to the await and genre, and then we have to just use our mongoose method, which will be find one, and we are going to be finding our genre by using this specific name. And if we already have the genre, so existing genre, so we just want to return to the user like res.json, and it is going to be the error. And now let me just pass like already exist, like so. And now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to create a new genre, so genre will be now equals to await and then new genre, and here we are going to be just specifying the name, and we have to just save that to our database. And finally we have to show something to the user so that the user can see that we created something right here. So now let me just save that, and yeah, we have to just export that. I'm gonna copy that and go to the bottom and export our genre right here. Now let me just save that, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to my routes, and here we are gonna have to import that right in here. So we are gonna have to import our genre like so. I'm gonna copy that, but at the end I'm gonna also have to specify this .js right here, and we are already using that. So now let me just save that, and let's just restart npm run backend in this case. So it's gonna just, okay, we have some error. And what's the error? We have the error inside a genre routes. Okay, what are we doing wrong? Create genre. I'm gonna copy that and place it right here, and I guess we are not providing the .js right here, that's why. Let me just provide this .js, and let's just restart that by using the npm run backend. And here you can see everything is working as expected. And now what I want to do is that I want to create a separate folder right here, and create a folder, give a name of like users or users management or something like that. I'm gonna just grab every single thing that I currently have right here. Let me just select all of that and grab that from here, and now let me just put that inside the users management, and let's just close that. Okay, let me just close this one as well. And now inside there, we're going to be creating here another folder. I'm going to give it the name of like genres, and inside there we're going to be just creating a first request, which will be create a genre. Okay, so I'm going to just copy the name from there, or URL from there. I'm going to copy that, and now let me just place that right here. In this case, we're now posting the data, so we're going to have to change that to post. Okay, and we are now providing the user. Instead of providing a users, we're going to have to provide a genres. Was that S or just a singular? Okay, it's just a singular. I'm going to have to copy that. And now let me just place it right here, and we have to post some sort of a name right here inside there. And now let me just post some sort of name like movies like The Witcher. It's not a movie, by the way. It's a game, and also what do we call it? Let me just close that right here, and let me just refresh this. We only have the users right here, but once I click on this send button right here, it's going to give us not authorized as an admin. We have to first of all log in as an admin. So the admin is Hossein, so I am going to be just logging in as Hossein right here. Okay, yeah, Hossein12. Now let me just click on that, and we successfully logged in. Let me just show you that we successfully logged in, and this person is an admin. And now if I click on this send button, so it's going to just create this genre for us. And now let me just refresh my database, and here you can see it's going to give us their genres, and inside there we have a document. And now let me just show you that, and here you can see we have this unique genre. So this is how we are going to be creating a unique genre. And now let me just go ahead and update the genre. What I want to do is that I want to write my router.route, and we are going to be going into a specific ID, and here we have to provide some sort of ID, and we are going to be providing the method of put, because in this case we are now, what do we call it, we are now updating our genre. The user should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin. So authorized as an admin, then they would be able to update the genre. Okay, so now let me just copy that, save this file, but I'm gonna also have to paste it right here, save our file. And now let me just create this genre right here, but before I do, I'm gonna have to paste it right here as well. And now let me just create that. So we have a async handler, and we're gonna have to pass for async and request response, and inside there we're going to be passing the try and catch blocks. So try and catch blocks For the try block, first of all, we are going to be grabbing the name from where? From the request.body. And what else do we have to do? We have to also get the ID from where? From, come on, let me just provide an equal to sign from the request.params. Okay, so here you can see we are providing this ID right here inside of parameters, and we're going to be destructuring that from this request params. And now we are going to have to search for the ID. So we're going to be just writing a genre, and it's going to be equals to await and then genre dot find one, and inside there we're going to be just placing our ID. It's going to be equals to that ID which we are already getting right here. Okay, so we're now searching for the genre, and now let me just check if we don't have the genre already. So what do you want to show to the user? We just want to return response.status of 404 and then JSON. Here we just have to provide the error of error and genre not found. Okay, so if that's not the case, we are going to be just updating the name of our genre. So genre.name will be now equals to this newly added name, and underneath that we're going to be also updating our database. So for that we're going to be just using updated genre, and it's going to be equals to await and then genre dot save. Okay, now let me just execute that, and finally we have to show something to the user. So we're going to be just writing like response.json and update genre. That's a lot of talking. And for the catch block, we're going to be just placing these console logs. Now let me just save that, and now let me just test this out. But I'm going to copy that and place it right here. Update genre, and here you can see we have the witcher name. I'm going to just create a new file, or not a file but request, and now let me just create a request right here. I'm going to just give it a name of like update genre. Let me just copy all of that. Let me just place it right here and change that from get to put. So now the first thing which you have to do is that we have to provide a specific genre ID right here, because we are providing that ID right here, and we are getting that ID right here from our params. So now let me just go ahead and go to my database, and now let me just click on that. Let's just click on that. What the hell am I doing? Oh my god, let me just click on that. Now let me just copy that from here, and now let me just place it right here. So we are going to be just updating this specific genre, and I'm going to just change the name of that to like what was that, the name? Yeah, the name, come on, the name, and I'm going to update that to like something else. Okay, so now let me just click on this send button right here. So here you can see our genre is now successfully updated to this something else. So now let me just show you that. Here you can see this is set to 1, and now if I refresh that, it is going to be still set to 1. And now let me just click on that, and here you can see our genre name is now set to something else right here. Okay, so we can just write another one like I don't know, we have different kind of movies like Godfather, and now let's just save that. Click on that send button, so it's going to just make it as a Godfather. Let's just refresh that, and here you can see it's going to make it as a Godfather. And yeah, this is how we are going to be updating our genre. Now let me just collapse it right here. I don't want to waste your time. Now let's talk about how we are going to be removing our genre. So for that we're going to be using like router.route, and here we have to route, and here we have to specify that specific ID, and we are going to be using a delete method inside there. The user should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin, and remove genre. Okay, so now let me just copy that from here, and now let me just place that right here, save our file, and now let me just go ahead and register that right in here. Okay, so I'm going to be just creating my remove genre by using the asynchronous handler and provide our async request and also the response as well. And now inside there we're going to be using our try and catch blocks. So for the try block, well, you know, first of all let me just write like console.error, and let me just place this error right here, and also res.status will be set to just 500, and JSON will be set to error, come on, ERROR, and then interval server error or something like that. For the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to get the ID first of all from where? From the request our params, and also we have to just remove the specific ID. is removed is going to be equals to await, and then we are going to be just using our genre model. So genre, and then we are going to be using like find by ID and delete. So we have this method on mongoose, and we are going to be specifying that specific ID right here. And now what I want to do is that I'm going to be just checking if we don't have removed in this case. So what do you want to do? We just want to show to the user like res.status and it's going to be set to 404 not found. Okay, so we have a error, and we're going to be just specifying like genre not found. It should be ERROR rather, and underneath there we're going to be just showing to the user like JSON and removed their genre. So now let me just save there, and this is how we are going to be removing a specific genre. And now what I want to do is that I want to just go ahead and create a new request right here. I'm going to give it the name of like delete genre, and now I'm going to be just copying all of that. Now let me just place it right here and change that to delete. So it is already taking this ID right here, so we're going to have to specify the ID. And now let me just click on that. So here you can see we only have one movie, and now let me just copy the ID of that. And now let me just place this ID right here, save our file, and click on this send button, and here you can see that Godfather is now successfully removed. Now let me just refresh that, and here you can see we have 0 documents, which means like overall genre is totally empty. So now let me just create The Witcher, and I'm gonna be just creating a few more movies like Extraction 2 and Jonathan Wick. So John Wick 4 chapter 4 and also we have different kind of movies, like I kind of just forgot the name, like Spider-Man, and we also have a Spider-Woman we have a Superman, we have a Batman, we have Hosan Man. Hosan is just a boy, but very soon he will become a man. And now let me just refresh that. Let me just go ahead and refresh that right here, and here you can see we now successfully created these 7 genres right here. So yeah, this is how we are going to be creating, updating and deleting the genres. Finally, not finally, but we're gonna have to do 2 more things. Now let's just list our genres. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my genres routes and also to these controllers, and here we are going to be just defining like router.route. We're gonna have to go ahead and GNRES like that, and we're going to be getting all of the genres. So I'm going to be using like get, and here we have to just write a list genres. Now let me just copy that, and here we are going to be placing that right here. I'm going to also provide a space here and also there. Let's just save that. Go to our genres controllers. Now let me just register that right here, and now let me just create my controller. Const genre or list genres will be equals to the asynchronous handler, and we're going to be also passing the request response, and inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block, and for the catch we're going to be using like const.log in this case. Come on, const.log of error, and also the return will be set to response.status of 400, and also the JSON will be set to error.message. Okay, and now up above this try block, I mean like inside this try block, we are going to be just getting all of the genres by using await and genre model and using the find method which we already have inside of Mongoose, and we're going to be just rendering all of that genres. So now let me just save that. Let me just go ahead and create a new request right here. I'm going to give it the name of like all genres like so, and now let me just copy that. And now let me just place that right here, and in this case we are going to be getting there. Are we even getting there? Let's just see. Yep, we are getting there. So in this case we're going to have to remove this ID from there, and it should be genres with the S. And now let me just click on this send button, and it's going to give us error. And I wasn't expecting this one, to be honest. Okay, so we have a genres. I just misspelled, I guess. I'm going to have to copy that, and now let me just place it right here, and now let me just click on the genres button. Okay, we have to specify the genre first of all, and then we have to provide the genres. Okay, so now let me just provide it once again with S. You can rename that to like all genres or something like that, but in my case S would do it for me. So I'm gonna just click on this send button, and it's gonna give us all of their genres for me. Okay, so we have The Witcher, Extraction, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Batman, and all of that. Now let me just save that, and this is how we are going to be getting all of the genres. And now let's talk about how we are going to be reading a specific genre. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my genres, and inside there or underneath there we're going to be just creating yet another route for what? For a specific ID, and we are going to be just reading a specific genre. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and now let me just place that right here, save my file, and go to my controller, and now let me just register that right here and create that. So I'm going to create my read genre by using my asynchronous handler. We're going to be providing our async request response, and inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block. For the catch we're going to be using like error, and also return of response status of 400, and also the JSON will be set to error.message. And inside this try block, what do you want to do? We just want to get the genre, and it's going to be coming from await and genre. dot find one method, which is coming from the mongoose, and we are going to be using the id and request dot params and then specific id right here, and then we are going to have to just show that to the user. So now let me just save that, and I guess that should do it. I'm going to just go ahead and go to my collection. Let's just create a new request right here, and I'm going to just hide that and specific genre or something like that. I'm gonna also have to copy that, and now let me just place that right here. Let's just remove that, and here we are using, oh, we are providing the id in this case. I forgot to do that. So now let me just go ahead and go to I don't know, maybe this specific genre, which is John Wick. I'm gonna copy that, and now let me just place that right here. Okay, so now if I click on this send button, it's gonna give us that specific id or their specific genre. Oh oh my god, what the hell am I doing? I'm providing the movie's name instead of a specific genres. So god damn it, I'm going to just save this file. Now let me just go ahead and remove a specific genre. Oh, you know, I can do that by using right clicks. Oh my god, that's a big mistake I just made. I'm going to just delete all of them, and that was the final part. But thank god I realized that I made a mistake. I was providing the movie's name instead of a genre's name. Oh my god, let's just remove that. We can provide a sci-fi, we can provide a acting, I mean like romantic, and there are a lot of them. But yeah, for now I am going to be just creating one for, I don't know, oh god, action would be fine. And then we're going to be also creating for adventure. I don't even know how to spell adventure, but yeah, I guess that too would be fine. So yeah, this is how we're going to be creating and updating and deleting and all of that kind of stuff with genres. So that was the backend of genres. So now we are totally done with the genres backend. Now let's just use that inside our front end. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my front end, then go to my src, then I'm gonna go to my store, I mean like constants in this case, and now let me just create a constant for that. So I'm going to be using like genre url, and it's going to be equals to API first of all, and then the version 1 and genre. There we go. So now let me just save that, and now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to create an API slice for that. So I'm going to be just creating a genre.js, and now inside there the first thing which you have to do is that we have to import our API slice. From where? From our API slice right here. We're gonna also have to import our genre URL, and now let me just copy there. We're going to be just exporting our const genre API slice, and it's going to be equals to the API slice, and then we are going to be injecting our endpoints right here, and here we just have to use our endpoints, and we're going to be just passing our builder. It's going to be equals to our arrow function, and inside there first of all we're going to be creating the endpoint of create genre, and it's going to be equals to builder.mutation, and inside there we're going to be just specifying the query, and it's going to take the new genre, and based on that new genre we are going to be creating a specific new genre. Okay, so it's going to take the URL, and in this case we're going to be just specifying our genre URL. It's not going to go to anywhere, but I'm going to also provide a comma, and method will be totally a post, and then we're going to also have to specify the body of new genre, and there we have it. Okay, so this is how we're going to be creating a genre. And you know what, I'm going to just create all of the endpoints right here for all of their backend. Now let me just show you there. So we have a genres routes right here, so we are going to be just creating all of the endpoints right here. So now let me just do that. So that was for the first one. Now let me just take care of updating the genre, and to update a genre we're going to have to write update genre, and then builder.mutation. Come on, let's just remove that, and update genre is going to be equals to the builder.mutation, because we are changing something inside there. We're going to have to pass our query, and we're going to have to pass the ID, and the updated or update genre would be fine. And inside there we are going to be just passing our arrow function. The URL will be equals to, or what do we call a genre URL, and it's going to go to the specific ID. And then we are going to also have to pass our method, and it's going to be equals to the put method. And now let me just provide my body, and it's going to be equals to the update genre. Okay, so we are now totally done with updating the genre. Now let's talk about how we are going to be deleting a specific genre. Okay, so to do that we're going to have to write a delete genre, and then we have to just write a builder.mutation. And what we want to do is that we're going to be using our query, and we're going to be specifying the ID to that, and inside that what do you want to do? We just have to specify the URL, and the URL will be our genre URL, and it's gonna go to the specific ID right here in lowercase. Now let me just provide my comma, and then the method will be equals to delete method, because we are just deleting our genre. Now let me just put my comma here, and now underneath that we're going to be just creating yet another genre for fetch genres, like for all of their genres. So we're going to be just using like query. In this case we are not going to be doing anything with that, but we are now just querying our product. So I'm going to just write what do we call it, my genre, and it's going to go into the genres right here. Okay, so I guess that's every single thing that we have to do. So now let me just save that, and yeah, I guess that's every single thing that we need to do for the genres endpoints. Now the last thing which I want to do is that I want to export all of that hooks. So I'm going to be using export const, and we are going to be exporting this genre API slice, and we are going to be exporting all of that hooks, which is use create genre, then we have the use update one, then we have the use delete one, and also we have the use fetch. And now I guess that's it. Save our file, and now we are totally done with all of that genres endpoint and RTK query. And to use that, the first thing which you want to do is that we want to go ahead and go to our pages, and inside these pages we're going to have to create a new folder. I'm going to give it the name of like admin, and inside there we're going to be just creating two components. The first one will be for the admin routes, and it's going to allows us to protect our routes. The next one will be for the genre list.jsx right here. So now let me just use the RAFC right here, and I am going to be using there right here in this component as well. Now let me just go ahead and go to my main and register there right here, but I'm going to do that underneath this private routes right here. So I'm going to be just writing like route. I'm going to also provide a path. It's not going to go to anywhere. And now let me just provide my element, and the element will be my admin routes. If I can get that, was that routes or just route? I forgot the name of that. Okay, it's not going to be a routes, but just a route, a singular. I'm going to also have to just rename that to, let me just select that and rename that to just a specific route. Okay, so I'm going to just close that, and yep, I'm going to take care of that right here. I'm going to copy that. Let me just go to the top and grab that right here. So we're going to be just grabbing our admin route from where? From, let's just go ahead and go to our pages, and inside this page we're gonna have to go to the admin, then we have to go to our admin route right here. Okay, so we are now successfully grabbing our admin route. Now inside there we are going to be just defining another route, and the path is gonna tag is something, but we're gonna also have to provide the element, and the element will be genre list. And now let me just close that and close this one as well. And now for the path, I'm going to be passing my admin, and then movies, and then the genre. Now let me just copy that, and now I am going to go into the top, and now let me just place it right here. From where, let's just go ahead and go to my pages once again, then admin, then we have our genre list, and now we are totally able to do that. So now let me just first of all take care of this admin routes, and then we are going to be jumping into this genre list. So now let me just click on that, and the first thing which I want to do is that I want to get my navigate, or not navigation, what the hell, let me just get my navigate from the React router, and not React router but React router DOM, and we are going to be also getting the outlet from the React router DOM, just a DOM, there we go. And now underneath that we're going to be also getting our use selector from where, from or from or React Redux. Okay, and now we are going to be using that right here. The first thing which you have to do is that we have to grab the user information from our store, which will be the use selector, and we're going to have to pass our stat, and inside there we are going to be using the stat.auth, and we're going to be getting our information from our store. And now the next thing which I want to do is that I want to delete this return statement from there, and I'm going to be just providing my return statement right here. But if you already have the user, and if you have the user information, and if the user is an admin, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to provide the outlet, and let's just close that. But if the user is not an admin, what do you want to do in that case? We're going to be just navigating that user to the login page. Okay, and then we have to replace the, not relative, but replace there, and let's just close it right here. So this is how we are going to be protecting our admin routes. And now let me just close them. And now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to take care of this genre list, and we're going to have to do a lot of stuff inside there like how we're going to be creating a genre, updating the genre, and all of that. So the first thing which I want to do is that I want to grab a lot of things. So we're going to be just grabbing the use stat stat like that, and then we would also need to grab, or let's just grab, import or something from the Redux toolkit. So let's just go ahead and go to the Redux, then the API, and then the genres. Yeah, I guess the genre would be fine. And we're going to be getting our use create, genre mutation use update, and yeah, also the use come on, let me just put a space in here, and use update genre mutation use delete one is also fine. And we're gonna also have to get the use fetch genre as well. So now let me just save that, and there's all of the hook which we have to grab. And then we also have to grab the toast from where, from the React Toastify, because we're going to be also using the toast. And yeah, that's going to be fine. And now we're gonna have to take care of the actual component. Now inside this genre list, what I want to do is that I want to get my I want to get my data, and I want to rename that data to genres. And then we are going to be also using the refetch to refetch our product once again. And then we are going to be grabbing that from use fetch genre query, and underneath that we're going to be just creating a stat for the name, and set name is going to be equal to the use selector, and we're going to be just passing our empty string right here. And then the next thing which you have to do is that we have to just write a selected genre, and then we have to just write a set selected genre stat is going to be equals to the use stat, and we're going to be providing the initial value of null to it. Now let me just create one for the update, or updating updting, updating the name, and set updating the name, and it's going to be equals to the use stat, and we're going to be just providing the empty string. Now let me just provide one for the model which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. So we have a model visible, and it's going to be equals to set model visible is going to be equals to or use stat, and we're going to be just passing the initial value of false to it. Okay, so visible, yep, the spelling is correct. And now we have to use our RTK query, and we're going to have to destructure our functions from there. So we're going to be just destructuring our create genre, create genre, and we are going to be just getting there from the use create genre mutation. And now we are going to be also getting what do we call it, update genre is going to be equals to the use first of all and update genre, and then we have to just get one for the delete genre. It's going to be equals to the use delete genre. And now let me just execute that. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my JSX area right here, and I'm going to be just placing this div. Okay, and I want you to do the same. So now let me just save that, and I'm providing the styling right here. Now inside there we're going to be just placing this div, and I want you to do the same. And that's because I don't want to write my styling. So now let me just write my h1, and now let me just provide my height h of 12 genres. And now let me just save that, restart there. So I'm going to be using npm run full stack in this case, and it's going to just start our server on this port. And now let's just click on that, and it's going to just start our server. And now let me just log in as an admin. So I am going to log in as hussein@gmail.com and hussein12. So now let me just click on there. Now I am going to go ahead and go to my dashboard, but before I do, you know what, I am going to go ahead and go to my genres and not allowed. Let me just go ahead and go to my main, and we're gonna have to write admin and then genres, like admin movies and then genres. So let's just remove that from here, and now let me just place that and hit enter, and here you can see it's gonna give us that many genres right here, and that's totally cool. And now the next thing which I want to do is that I want to create a separate form component for the specific genre. So I am going to be just passing that right here. So we have a genre form, and we're going to be just passing the value of value, like the value of name, the state which we are already creating up above, and then the set value value is going to be equals to the set value, and we're going to be just also passing the handle submit to that, and the handle submit will be the handle. And we are going to be creating this function in a few seconds, but I'm just wondering, should I create it right now or later? I don't know, man. Oh, this shouldn't be a set value, but instead it should be a set name rather. And now let me just take care of this genre form. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my components, and I'm gonna be just defining a new component which will be a genre form.jsx. And now let me just use my RAFCE, save my file, and now let me just grab that right in here. Okay, so now let me just auto import that. It's gonna just import it right here. So now let me just save this file, and now let me just go ahead and go to my genre form and take care of that. So the first thing which I want to do is that I want to destructure a few things like the value, the set was there a set value or the name? Set value, and also the handle submit, and we are going to be also passing the button text as well, but I'm going to just specify the initial value of submit to that. We're going to take care of that a bit later, and we're going to be also passing the handle delete to that as well. Okay, so now let me just save that, and I guess I have to specify the comma. I forgot to do that. Let me just save that. Now inside this return statement, I'm going to be just passing the padding of 3 all around, and then I'm going to just remove that from here. Inside this div, we're going to be creating a form. It's not going to take any actions. It's going to just take only the on submit, and when somebody submit this form, so we're going to be just passing our own, like handle submit button right here, and it's going to take the on submit handler, and we're going to be just passing the handle submit right here, and then the classes will be just space for the y-axis of 3. And now inside this form, we're going to be just passing our input, and the type will be text, but we are going to also have to specify the class name of padding for the y-axis of 3, padding for the x-axis of 4, and also the border rounded totally large, and width will be set to 60 rem. And now let me just close that, and we're going to be also providing the placeholder for that, which will say right genre name. Now let me just save that so that we can see everything a bit better, and we're going to be also passing the value of value to that, and then the on change we're going to be just passing the e, and also it's going to take the set value, and we're going to have to pass the e.target.value right here in this case. And now let me just save that. Underneath this input, what do you have to do? We're going to be just creating yet another div with the class of flex, and I am going to be also providing the justify of between to that. And now inside there, we're going to be just creating a button, and it's going to be a huge button. Let's just remove that, and now let me just copy that button right here, and now let me just place that right here, save our file, and you should do the same. And now underneath this button, what do you have to do? We're going to be just creating a handle delete button, and inside that we're going to have to provide our button right here. So now let me just provide my button. Let's just close that like so, and we're going to be also attaching the on click event handler on there, and handle delete we're going to be just passing that, and it's going to be just responsible for deleting a specific genre. And now let me just provide the styling to it. So now let me just save that, and you should also provide the styling right here as well. And I am going to be also providing this delete right here, and this should be FOCUS. There we go. And I guess that's it, because we are going to be creating a genre, and we're going to be also able to delete a specific genre right here. Okay, so yeah, we are doing every single thing right here, but we have to take care of this handle create genre, and we're gonna do that in a few seconds. But now underneath that, let me just take care of that other stuff, because we want to also show the specific genres right here. If we just create that, I don't want to show everything in the console. I want to show every single thing inside the desktop. So I'm going to be just using a div with a class of flex. So now let me just use a flex, and also the flex will be set to wrap, and inside there we are going to be just iterating over the genres if we already have that. So we are going to be just using the map method, and we're going to be just passing our specific genre, and then we have to just use our div, and inside this div we're going to be also providing a specific key of the genre and ID, a specific genre ID right here. And now let me just close that. I don't know why it didn't close itself, but now inside this div, what do I have to do? I'm going to be creating a button right here, and now let me just close that, and I am going to be providing a lot of CSS. So now let me just save that, and you should provide the same. And now let me just use the on click event handler on that, and we're going to be just passing this this function right here, and it's going to just take the object of set model visibility or visible, and it's going to be set to true. Now let me just save that, and I'm going to be also providing the set selected genre right here. It's going to be also set to genre, and we're going to be also providing the set updating name, and it's going to be equals to the genre.name, because we are already defining there right in here. Okay, so we are already defining there, and that's why we are now providing that right here. And as a button label, we're going to be just rendering our genre name. Okay, so this is going to be the label of our button, so genre.name, and this is how we are going to be rendering there. Now underneath this div, what do I have to do? I'm going to be just creating a new component for the specific model, and we're going to be providing the attribute of is open, and if it's open, we're going to be passing the model visible right here in this case, and when it's closed, on close, we are going to be just passing our arrow function in this case, and it's going to just take like set model visible, and it's going to be set to false in this case. And now let me just close that like so. Okay, we are going to be just creating there, but inside there we're going to also have to pass our genre form, or yeah, genre form. And now let me just close there, and we're going to be providing a lot of props to it. So the value will be set to updating name, and also the set value will be also set to the value, and then the set updating name will be also taking the value. So now let me just save there, and this is how it looks like for now. But we're going to be also passing the handle submit, and it's going to be taking that handle update genre, and we're going to be creating that in a few seconds, but I want you to bear with me. So update genre, and then we have to also specify the button text offset to update in this case, and underneath there we're going to be also providing the handle delete in this case, and it should be the handle, come on, handle delete genre in this case. Okay, so yeah, that's cool, but we're gonna have to create these three what do you call these three function in a few seconds. We're going to be creating that, but first of all, now let me just create this model component inside my components folder right here. I'm going to create my model.jsx, and now let me just use my RAFCE, save my file, and now let me just grab that right here. So we have a model, and it's going to just auto import that for me, save our file, and now let me just take care of that. The first thing which you have to do is that we have to do our destructuring. So we have the is open, and then we have the on close, and then we also have a children right here. Okay, so now let me just remove that from here. I'm going to also remove these divs, and I'm going to just leave it as a fragments, and inside there is open, and we're going to have to specify some sort of a JSX right here inside there. And what I want to do is that I want to create a div, and it's going to just take the class name of fixed, and also the inset will be set to 0, and also we have a flex, and items will be set to center, justify will be set to center, z index will be set to 50. And now inside there we're going to be just creating yet another div for a separator. So I'm going to be just creating a div with the class of fixed, and inset will be set to 0, and also we have a background of totally black, and opacity will be set to 50. Okay, and now underneath that, what do you want to do? We just want to create another div with the class of absolute, and the top will be just this arbitrary value, which is 40%. Let's just close that, and left will be also set to 20%. Let's just close that. Background will be set to totally white, padding all around will be set to 4, and rounded will be set to totally large, z index will be set to 10, and text will be set to totally right. Okay, so inside there we're going to be just creating a button. Now let me just create a button, and I'm going to just put a class names of there, like text will be set to totally black, and also the font will be set to semi bold, and how it will be set to text of totally gray of 700. I'm going to be also providing the focus stat on there, and when it's focused, the outline will be none, and margin for the right will be set to 2, and for the label, or yeah, for the label we're going to be just providing this X right here, and when somebody clicks on there, on click, we're going to be just closing our stat. So now let me just save there, and underneath this button we're going to be just providing our children right here. Okay, now let's just save that, and that was it about for our model. Let's just close that, and now let me just create these functions right here. Okay, so now let me just close this, let me just comment this line out, this line, and I'm gonna also comment this line out as well. Now let me just save that, and here you can see it's gonna give us this UI right here. So if I click on that, it's gonna open their specific genre. We can update that, we can delete that, we can do a lot of stuff with that. If I click on this action, we can just open and close our model right here. And now let me just take care of creating the genre. So now let me just save that, copy the name of that, and now let me just create my genre right here. I'm gonna just write a const create handle create genre will be now equals to the asynchronous function. It's gonna take the event, and inside there we're going to be just preventing the default. So prevent default default, and now let me just execute them. And we're going to be checking if we don't have the name. So what do you want to do in that case? So we just want to show to the user this toast dot error, and we just want to say that genre name is required. Okay, and we just have to return, then they will be able to specify a new genre name to that. And now let me just use my try and catch block underneath there. Let me provide a console.log for the catch blocks, and now let me take care of const result is going to be equals to the await and create genre, which we are getting from the RTK query, and we're going to have to pass this name right here and just unwrap that. And now underneath there, what do you have to do? We just have to check if you already have the result.error. So what do you want to do in that case? We just want to show this toast to the user like we have some sort of an error which is coming from the result. And now if that's not the case, so what do you want to do? We just want to set the name to totally empty string, and we also have to just write a toast, and then we have to show some sort of a success toast right here. So we just want to show to the user that result.name is created. So it's going to just give us the genre name is created, and then we also have to refetch all of our genre so that we can see the newly created data. So now let me just save that, and it's going to just allow us to create this genre, but we were not able to see that. And to see that, for that we're going to have to create this function which we have right here. So we have a handle update one. So you know what, let me just create a genre right here. So I am going to just say like, I don't know, another action or something like that. And now if I click on this submit button, so it's going to give us that toast, and it's going to also give us that another button right here. But if I click on that, we cannot update that and we cannot delete that. Now let me just create my const handle update genre. It's going to be equals to the asynchronous function, and we're going to have to provide our event. And now let me just use the prevent default, and now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to check if we have, if we don't have updating names. So we're going to be just writing a toast.error, and we're going to be just saying like genre name is required, like so, required, and we just have to return it out. And underneath there, we're going to also have to just write our try and catch block, and for the catch block we're going to be just saying this error console.error of error. And for the try block, let me just save there. For the try block, we're going to be just getting the result. So const result will be now equals to the await, and we're going to be using our update genre from the RTK query, and we're going to be just specifying the ID of selected genre and that specific ID. And then we also have to just write a updated genre, and then we have to specifically define that name which we are getting from the updating name, not genre but updating name. What was that? Updating name. Okay, so now let me just put a comma here, and we just have to unwrap that. Okay, and now let me just execute that. Underneath that, we're going to be just checking for the error. So if you have the result.error, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to show this toast.error to the user. So we have the result.error, and now if that's not the case, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to show the success message to the user, and we're going to be just saying that result.name is updated. Okay, and now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to refetch our data. So refetch our data. And that was a lot of talking, but now let me just empty out all of our stat and visibility, and now let me just place that right here. Okay, so now let me just save that. I'm gonna just refresh my browser, and now let me just click on this another action. I'm gonna just say another adventure. Okay, and now if I click on this update, it's going to give us their toast, and it's going to also give us that another adventure right here. So I can totally remove this adventure right here, and I can just write update, and now let me just click on there. It's going to just update it right here. Now let me just take care of deleting the specific visible. God damn it, I'm going to have to rename that again and again. So we have model visible. So we're now changing that right here, and we are also changing that right in here. Okay, so now let me just show you that. We're also changing that right here. So now let me just save that and test this out one more time. I'm going to click on that, and we have another, so I'm gonna just change that to Hossein movies. I'm gonna click on that, so everything is working totally okay. And yeah, that's cool. But now let me just take care of deleting a genre. I'm gonna just uncomment there. Let's just check this out. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my genre form, and you know what, I am going to just change that to OCUS. Save this file. I'm gonna go ahead and create that. Let's just copy that from here and excuse me, and collapse it right here. Delete genre. What the hell? DELET genre. There we go. I'm gonna have to copy this one first of all, and check out or delete focus FOCUS, and we have a delete. Come on, delete genre, and we are not using that. That's because we did not create this function. Now let me just copy that, and we are going to be just creating that right here. And now let me just place that right here. It's going to be equals to this asynchronous function, and inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block. For the catch, we're going to be copying that, and we're going to be just placing this console.error and these errors right here. And for the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to get the result first of all. Const result, and it's going to be coming from the await and delete genre, which we just corrected a few seconds ago, and we're going to have to provide our selected genre and then their specific ID inside there. And let's just unwrap there, and we're going to have to check for the errors first of all. So if you have some sort of error like result.error, so we're going to be using the toast.error right here and the result.error. Okay, so now outside from that, if that's not the case, so we're going to be using our toast.success, and then we have to just specify the result.name is deleted. So is deleted, DLETED or DLETED, and we're gonna also have to refetch or refetch, and now let's just execute there and set selected genre will be now set to totally null, and then we have a set modal method or visible will be now set to totally false. So now let me just save there. Let me just click on this Hossein, and now if I click on this specific genre, so it's gonna just delete it right here. So if I check out my database, so now let me just go ahead and go to my MongoDB, right click on there and click on refresh. So it's gonna give us that genres, and here you can see we only have these two genres right here. Now let me just delete them as well. Click on delete and also click on delete as well. Refresh them and refresh this database. So this is how we're going to be just removing every single thing from our database. And yeah, what I want to do is that I want to create a few genres. So we have action, we have romance, we have comedy, COMADY. I guess that's how you spell comedy. I don't even know how to spell comedy. And then we have adventure. I forgot the name, but now let me just change that to adventure. And yeah, I guess that would be fine. And now let me just refresh there. So it's going to give us that 4 genres right here. So yeah, that was it about for the genres in this MERN project. We are now totally done with the genres. So now let me just close all of these files, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my backend folder. So I'm going to collapse that. Now let me just go ahead and go to my backend, and we're going to be first of all creating a model. So I'm going to just give it the name of like movie.js, and inside there, first of all, you would need the mongoose from the mongoose, and then we are going to be destructuring the object ID from where? From the mongoose. Come on, mongoose, MONGOOS. So we are going to be destructuring our object ID, and now underneath that we're going to be creating our movie schema right here. It's going to be equals to the new mongoose dot schema, and inside there, what do you want to do? Our movie will have some sort of a name, so the name will be type of string and also totally required. And also we're going to be taking care of the image, which we're going to be doing in a few seconds, but it should also be a type of string. And then we have to take care of the year, and now let me just provide a type of number in this case, and also this should be required too. And now underneath that, we're going to be also taking care of the genre, and we are going to be going into the object ID, and now we're going to be providing a reference to our genre model, which we've already created right here. Okay, so now let me just provide required, and it should be required. And now underneath that, what do we have to do? We're going to be providing our detail, and the detail will be type of string, and also totally required will be now set to true. Let me just provide a cast, and the cast will be array of objects, so type of string. And now inside there we're going to be also providing reviews, and for the reviews we are going to be just creating this review schema in a few seconds, but I want you to just bear with me for a few seconds. So now underneath that, let me just also provide the number of reviews on a specific movie. So then we're going to be providing a type of not string but number to that, and also required will be set to true, and the default value we're going to be specifying 0, and it should be required. There we go. Now let me just provide a comma, and created at will be equals to the type of date, and then the default date will be just date dot now. Okay, we are not going to be executing that. Now underneath there, let me just provide my timestamps, and it should be true. Now let me just save that, and now let me just take care of this review schema. So I'm going to just create that right here, and I'm going to just give it the name of like review, review schema, and it's going to be equals to mongoose dot schema. And inside there we're going to have to provide the name first of all, and the name will be the type of string, and also totally required will be set to true. Underneath there we're going to be also providing a rating for the review, so I'm going to just say the type of number, and also required to true. And now underneath there, let me just provide a comment, and the type will be set to string, and also the required will be set to true as well. Now underneath there, we're going to be also providing a specific user, like who is writing this specific review. So we're going to be just writing a type of mongoose, and then schema, and then types. Let me just get my types, and then the object ID. And now underneath that, we're going to be providing the required of true, and also the reference will be set to user. Timestamps will be now set to true, and now let me just save that, and this is how we're going to be creating both of our schemas. So now let me just export that right here. I'm going to be using export movie, and it's going to be equals to mongoose.model, and here we're going to be just passing our movie. Let's just go back, and now let me just provide my movie schema. Oh god, CHEMA, and now let me just export, or it should be const, and now let me just export that right here. So export default of movie. Okay, so movie, there we go. Now let me just save that, and we are now totally done with the schema right in here. Now let me just add a route for myself, and now here we are going to be just using like app.use, and first of all we are going to be going into the API, then the version 1, and then okay, now let me just pass my movies routes, or yeah, movies route would be fine. Let me just copy that, save this file, and now let me just create that file right here. I'm gonna just name it the movies routes.js, and now inside there, first of all let me just grab my express from express, and also let me just create an instance of a router. So we're going to be using express dot, come on, what the hell. And now let me just execute that. We're going to be importing our controllers and also the middlewares as well. And you know what, I'm going to just import my authenticate and also authorizes an admin middleware right here. And you know what, we're going to be also creating yet another middleware. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my middlewares, and I'm going to be creating my middleware of what do we call it, the check id.js. and now inside there, first of all we're going to be importing something from the mongoose, and that something will be is valid object id. Okay, so we're going to be grabbing that, and now let me just create my middleware right here. Come on, we can't even create a function. What the hell is wrong? Let me just create my function right here, and I'm going to just give it the name of like check id. It's going to take the request and also the response, and we're going to be also providing a next to it because this middleware. And now we're going to be checking if we don't have the is valid object, we're going to be specifying our request our params and then id. And if that's not the case, so what do you want to do? We just want to show to user like res.status of 404. Underneath that, we just have to throw new error, and we would say come on, error, and we would say that invalid object of, and then let's just pass our request our params.id right here. And now finally we just have to use our next and provide our middleware right here. And now let me just export that, export default of check id, and now let me just save that, and here we have to use that. I'm going to close this file, and we're going to have to grab that right here. So I'm going to be using check id from where, from, let's just go ahead and go to our middlewares right here, and then we have to grab that from the check id.js. Yeah, we also have to specify the .js right here because it's gonna just throw us an error. Now let me just save that, and I'm gonna go back, and the first thing which you want to do is that we want to create our public routes. So we have a public routes, then we are going to be creating a restricted routes as well, and we're going to be also creating a routes for the admin specifically. Okay, so now let me just create a public routes like those routes which will be accessible for all of the users. So now let me just create a router.get, and we're going to be specifying all movies, and here we just have to specify the get all movies. Let me just copy that from here, and we're going to be destructuring that, but first of all we have to create our controllers, and I'm gonna just create the name of like movie controller.js. and now inside there, the first thing which you would do is that we would grab our movie from let's just go ahead and go to our model. Where is our model? And now inside that, we're going to be grabbing our model from our model right here. Okay, so the first thing which you have to do is that I just made a mistake. I'm not going to be providing my, I'm gonna just comment this line out for a second, because first of all we have to create something, then we would be able to access that. So now let me just save that right here. Like only the admin would be able to create a new movie, so we're going to be just using like router.post, and now let me just provide a create movie. And first of all the user should be authenticated and then authorized as an admin, then they would be able to create a movie. Okay, movie. Now let me just copy that from here, save my file, and let me just go ahead and create that right here. And to create a movie, it is totally simple. So we're going to be just creating our create movie. Let's just pass our asynchronous, async function request and response, and then inside there we're going to be just using our try and catch block. And for the catch block, we're going to be just providing like res.status of 500 and also the .json. And now let me just pass my error, and here we're going to be using the error.message MESSAGE. and now let me just create a new movie, and it's going to be equals to the new movie schema, and we're going to our model we're going to be providing our request.body, and then we have to just provide a saved movie, and it's going to be equals to the await. And let's just save that new movie to our database by using this save method, which will be coming from Mongoose. And then we have to use our response.json, and let's just provide our save save movie. Oh my god, saved movie. There we go. Okay, so now let me just save that, and finally we have to export that. So we are going to be using export create movie, and now let me just copy that, save that right here. Let me just go ahead and go to my movies controller, movies routes, and we're going to be grabbing our controller right here. From where we are going to be grabbing that from, let's just go ahead and go to our controllers, and we're going to be grabbing there from the movies controller. Okay, so now let me just pass my movies control, create movie, and we're going to be also passing there right here, which we are already doing there. But finally we have to export default or router. Okay, so now let me just save that, and we also have to grab the inside this index. So we're going to be just grabbing there right here. So we have a movies routes from, let's just go ahead and go to our routes, and inside there we have a movies routes right here. So now let me just save that. We're going to be using npm run backend, and now let me just hit enter, and we are indeed getting an error inside a movie controller. So let's just go ahead and go to our movie controllers, and I just messed up something. No, nothing. So we have some error right. Okay, yeah, we are grabbing that right here. What's wrong? Oh, here you can see we are not providing the .js. So now let me just place that, and let's just restart our npm run backend one more. Come on, npm run backend. There we go. So it's gonna just restart our backend, and now let me just test that in my Postman, and let's just close all of them right here. And now let me just take care of the movies. So we're going to be just creating a new folder. I'm gonna just give it the name of movies detail, or movies will be fine rather, and we are going to be just creating our new request right here inside there, and I'm going to just create the name of like create movie. There we go. And let's just close this one, and we're going to be just grabbing our link from there. And now let me just place it right here. Let me just put my post method right here, and in this case we're going to have to go to the movies. Let me just see we are going to be going into the movies right here, and then we have to specifically specify the create movie right here. Okay, so let's just try to create movie, and now let me just go ahead and go to my body. Let me just click on the raw, and it is already set to a JSON. So we are going to be just providing a few things for the movie. Let me just go ahead and go to my movie. So it is taking the name, the image, the year, and genre, detail, cast, reviews, new reviews, and also the created ad. So first of all, let me just provide a name. So I'm going to just provide the name of extraction 2 or something like that. Now let me just click on the send button. So it's going to just give us like movie validation path detail is required, genre is required, and also the year is required. So we're going to also have to provide that. So now let me just provide all of them. So the next one we have is the image. So we're going to be just specifying the random image right here. Let me just provide like image.png, which we don't have right here, but we are just providing that for the string. And now let me just provide the year, and the year, I don't know when this movie was released, but I'm going to just provide a 2024 or 23 would be fine. And now we have to also provide a genre, and then for the genre we are going to have to specifically specify our genre. Let me just go to my MongoDB. Let me just open there. Let me just go to my genres, and I'm going to just go ahead and go to this action one right here. Let me just copy that, and we're going to be just providing that right here. Okay, so let's just close there, and that was required. So now we are totally providing that. Now the next one we have is a detail, and we are now going to be providing some sort of a detail right here, like detail, and it was the best action movie ever or something like that. Let me just provide a comma, and then we have to provide a cast, and the cast will be I don't know, John Doe and Alex. Now let me just provide what else, a review. So I'm going to just leave the review right here. We will provide the later, but not right now. So yeah, I'm going to just leave the review right now. Let me just provide a number of, or we're not going to be providing a number of review, and everything else should be fine. Now let me just close that. Let me just remove that from here, go back, let's just zoom in a bit. So we are now providing all of that data right here. Now let me just click on this send button, and here you can see that movie is now successfully created right here. So we have extraction 2, we have the image, year, the genre, detail, cast, and every single thing right here. So yeah, let me just see if you already have the movie, and I'm going to just refresh that, and it's going to give us that movies right here. We only have one movie right here. And now let me just check this out. We have the ID, we have the movie name, we have the image, then we have the year, genre, detail, and also the cast. And we're not providing the rest of the stuff, so it's gonna just take the default one right here. Okay, so yeah, this is how we are going to be creating the movie. Now let me just go back. Let's just close this one. The next thing which you have to take care of this get all movies, but first of all we're going to have to create a lot of movies, then we would be able to see all of them. So I'm going to just provide like, I don't know, Transformers, and then I don't know, maybe 2025 or something like that. And it's going to be also an action movie, and I'm going to just leave the rest of them totally the same. And now let me just change that to like John Wick or something. Let's just provide them, and here you can see we only have 3 movies right here. So now let me just uncomment this line of code. Let me just copy that from here. Let me just go to the top and provide that right here. Copy that, save this file. Let me just go ahead and go to my controllers, and I'm gonna just collapse that. And now let me just register that right here, and now let me just create my controller. So I'm gonna be just giving it the name of like get all movies. It's gonna be equals to the async, and now let me just provide a request response. And now inside there we are going to be just using our try and catch block. For the catch block we're going to be using like first.status of 500. And now let me just provide a JSON, and the error will be the error dot message right here. Okay, so it should be ERROR like so. And for the try block, what do you want to do? You just want to use our mongoose method, which will be just use the model and then the find method on there, and we're not going to be providing anything to that. And now let me just use a rest.status of movies right here. Okay, so now let me just save them, and now let me just test this out. So I'm going to just save this file, and now I'm going to just create a new request right here. I'm going to just give it the name of like get, or all movies right here. Okay, so now let me just copy that, and now let me place that right here, and we're going to be using the get request in this case. And instead of typing a create movie, let me just close that. We are going to be just passing the movies. So we're going to be passing all movies, and now let me just hit enter right here. So it's going to give us all of the movies right here inside our database. So yeah, this is how we're going to be getting all of the movies. And now let me just save this file. Let's just I'm not going to close that. And now let me just take care of a specific movie. So for that, we are going to be just creating a router.get, and we are going to be going into specific movie, and then we are going to be providing an ID for that specific movie. Get specific movie, and now let me just copy that from here, and I'm going to just place that right here. Okay, now let me just save this file. Let's just copy that, and now let me just let me just close this file. Let me just register that right here and register there, and I'm going to be creating that route right here. It's going to be equals to the async request response, and now inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block. For the catch, we're going to be using a res.status of 500 and provide our JSON, and for the JSON we're going to be providing the error message. For the try block, we're going to be destructuring our ID from the request.params, and now underneath that we're going to be also getting our specific movie, and it's going to be equals to await and movie dot find by ID, and we're going to be passing our ID right here in this case. And then we're going to be checking if we don't have the specific movie, then we're going to be just returning, let me just return the response.status of 404, and then JSON, let me just provide my message, and the message will be movie not found. Okay, so now let me just save that, and also we are going to be showing something to the user. So we are going to be using like res.json and specific movie. Now let me just save that, and now let me just try this out. So I'm going to go ahead and go to transformers. So I'm going to copy that, and now let me just go ahead and create my new request right here. Let's just collapse that, and I'm going to just give it the name of like specific movie or something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Let me just place it right here, and we're not going to be providing the all movies but a specific movie, which was this. Let me just show you that, which was specific movie, and then we are going to be providing our ID right here. Okay, so then we have to specify our ID. So in this case we are going to be providing our ID from our MongoDB, and in this case we're going to be providing the ID of this John Wick. And now let me just copy them and place it right here and click on this send button. So it's going to give us that specific movie, which was John Wick. Okay, so this is how we are going to be getting a specific movie, by using the ID. So now let's talk about how we are going to be updating our movies. So we are going to be using a router.put, and now let's just provide our endpoint of update movie, and we're going to be providing a specific ID right here in this case. And now we have to, and the user should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin. So authorize as an admin, and then they would be able to update the movie. So now let me just copy that from here, and now let me just register that right here, save our file, and now let me just create that right here, put a comma, and also the update movie. And now let me just create my update movie, and it's going to be equals to async and request response. And now inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block. For the catch block, we're going to be using like res.status of 500 and also the JSON. So now let me just provide a JSON of error and also the error.message in this case. And now for the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to destructure first of all our ID from our request.params, and also we have to just get the updated movie, and it's going to be equals to await. And let's just go ahead and use our model, and we're going to be using like find by ID and update, this method which is coming from the Mongoose. First of all, we're going to be providing our ID, then the request.body, like how we are going to be updating our data, and then we're going to be using the new to true. Now we're going to be checking if we don't have the updated movie or updated movie. There we go. So what do you want to do in that case? We're going to be just returning the response.status, and we will say 404, and then let's just provide our JSON response and message. And for the message we will say like movie not found. Okay, and now underneath that finally we're going to be just sending to the user like updated movie. And now let me just save that. So what I want to do is that I want to test this out, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this update movie from it, And now let me just go ahead and create a new request right here. I'm gonna just give it the name of update, come on, update movie. And now let me just change that to put, and I'm gonna copy all of that. Now let me just place it right here, and instead of writing a specific movie, I'm gonna just say like update, and I want to update a specific movie, which will be, I don't know, maybe instead of a Transformers, I'm gonna just give it the name of like something else. Oh, I'm gonna have to copy that. And now let me just place it right here, and let me just go to the body, and I'm going to just update the movie name in this case. So I'm going to just say like the name, and the name will be like, I don't know, which kind of name should I provide? Godfather would be fine. And now let me just click on the send button. So here you can see everything else will be totally the same, and only the name is totally changed right here. Okay, so if you want to change the image or the year or the genre, you can totally do that, but in my case I want to just show you how we are going to be changing the name of the movie. If you want to change the other stuff, so you can just provide like I don't know, you can provide the image first of all, and then you can say like let's just go ahead and my image.png or jpg or something like that, and here you can see it's going to also update there for you. So now let me just save there, and this is how we're going to be updating our movie. Now let's just close this out, and now let me just take care of the movie review. So we're going to be just using like router.post, and we're going to be providing the specific movie id and then reviews. And now the user should be authenticated, not authorized as an admin. Like not only the admin will be able to provide the review, everyone can provide the review for a specific movie. And check ID, which we are already grabbing, and then we have to also provide the movie review, okay, REVIEW. And now let me just copy that from here. Let me just place that right here, save this file, and let's just collapse that, and I'm going to be just placing that right in here. Okay, and now let me just create that. And to create that, first of all, we are going to be just writing our movie review, and it's going to be equals to the asynchronous request response. And now inside that, we are going to be using our try and catch block. And for the try block, first of all, let me just take care of the try block. We're going to be just restructuring the rating and also the comment from where, from the request.body. Okay, and then we would also have to just use our movie, not movies, but just a movie, and await one movie, and then find by id. And we are going to be providing request.params and a specific id, okay, which we are already taking in this case. Not here, yeah, there we go, which we are already taking in this case. And now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to check the movie if we have the movie. So what do you want to do in that case? We are going to be using like already reviewed. So if the movie is already reviewed, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to use our movie.reviews .find and REVIEW I guess, yeah, already reviewed. And for this find method, we are going to be passing our callback function, and we are going to be just checking like if rating user to string, we are going to be converting that to string is triple equal to the request.user. Come on, let me just use the user and the specific user id, and we're going to be also converting that to string as well. Now let me just save them, and underneath that we're going to be just checking if the movie is already reviewed. So what do you want to do in that case? We just want to send to the user like response.status of 400, and now underneath that we're going to be just throwing a new error to the user, which will say like movie already reviewed. I don't know how to spell this, reviewed, REVIEWED. I guess this is how you spell it. And now underneath that, what do you want to do? We just want to create our review. So we are going to be just writing a review, and it's going to be equals to the name, like the specific username who is doing or who is writing that review, and then we have to provide the rating. And for the rating, we're going to be converting that to number. And let me just provide a rating inside there, and then we have to just provide a comment and also the user. So we would say like request.user dot specific id. Okay, so this is how we are going to be creating a review. And now underneath that, let me just push that to our movies. We're going to be using like movie.reviews, REVIEWS, and then let's just push our review which we just created right here up above. And now underneath that, we're going to be also using our movie.number of reviews will be now equals to movie.reviews.length. Okay, so we are going to be incrementing that or decrementing that by using this line of code. Let me also take care of the rating as well. So we are going to be using like movie rating. It's going to be equal to the movie.reviews reviews like that. And we are going to be using a reduce method. Reduce, first of all, we are going to be providing the accumulator and then the item name, and we are going to be just using like item.rating plus accumulator, and then here we have to just specify the 0, and then we are going to be dividing them by movie.reviews and then length. Okay, so now let me just save that, and it should be length, and now let me just save that to our database. So for that we are going to be using like await and then movie.save to the database, and now underneath that we are going to be using like res.status of 201, and then we have to use our .json. Let me just provide my message to that message and review added by the user. So if that's not the case, so what do you want to do? We just want to send to the user like 404 and then throw a new error of movie not found. Okay, and for the catch block, what do you want to do? We just want to use our console.error, and we just want to set the error. We're going to be passing the error and also the response.status of 400, and then JSON will be set to, or you know, like error and error just dot message. There we go. So now let me just save that, and we are already exporting that, and we are already grabbing that right here. Everything is okay. So now let me just test this out, and I'm gonna just create a new request right here, and now I'm going to just give it the name of like movie review, or a review movie would be fine. And now let me just copy all of that. Now let me just place that right here, and I'm gonna just change there to post. In this case, it is now first of all requiring the ID, and then we have to specify the reviews in this case. So now let me just remove that, and also the update movie as well. So first of all, we're gonna have to provide a specific movie ID so that we would be able to review that specific movie. So here you can see our reviews are now set to 0, and we are not providing any review to that. So what I want to do is that I want to grab this specific movie ID from there. Let me just copy that from here. Let me just put that right here, and now let me just add the reviews at the end. So was that reviews or just a review? Yep, that's a review. So now let's just provide a review for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my raw, and here we just have to specify a new review right here. Let me just zoom in a bit, and we have to just say that review, and first of all I want to make sure that I am logged in. And let me just click on the cookie, and yeah, we are already logged in. So I'm going to just say the reviews. We are going to be providing that for this review, so I'm going to copy that, and now let me just place it right here, and I'm going to just say like one of the best movie or action movies so far, or something like that. And now if I click on this send button right here, so here you can see review.0 rating case number fail, and I just debug my application and found 2 mistakes. We are now taking or destructuring the rating and also the comment, and here we can see we are now providing a reviews right here. Now let me just change that to comment, and then we are gonna also provide the reviews right here. So what's that? No, not reviews but rating. And now let me just provide a rating of like, I don't know, maybe 2 would be fine, or 5 would be fine rather. Now let me just click on this send button, and here you can see message and review added right here in this case. And now let me just go ahead and check this out, but first of all I'm gonna have to close this one, and now let me just reopen that, and now let me just go to the bottom, and here you can see we have the rating of 5, and we have the comment of one of the best action movies so far. So yeah, this is how we're going to be adding a comment to our specific movie. So now let me just comment, or not comment, but now let me just collapse it right here. And now let's talk about how we are going to be deleting a specific movie. And to do that, first of all, we're going to have to go ahead and go to our admin, and we're going to be just providing a router.delete method. And for this delete, we're going to be just providing a delete movie, and we would also need to provide a specific movie ID, and the user should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin, and then they would be able to delete a movie. Now let me just copy that and save my file, but I'm going to also have to provide that right here, save our file. And now let me just register that right here, and also let's just create that right in here. So now let me just create my delete movie, and it's going to be equals to the async function request response. And also inside there we're going to be just using our try and catch block. For the catch block we would just say like response.status of 500, and also the JSON would be set to the error, and we're going to be just passing the error dot message. Okay, so now for the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to just destructure the specific ID of the movie, and it is going to be coming from the request.params, and we are going to be just using the delete movie, and it's going to be equals to the await and movie scheme or model, whatever you want to call that. And we are going to be using the mongoose method, which will be find by ID and delete, not update, find by ID and delete. There we go. And now let me just pass my specific ID right here inside there. And now let me just check. If we don't have the delete movie, so what do you want to do? We just want to return to the user the response.status of 404 and movie not found. So let me just use the JSON, and message will be equals to movie, come on, movie not found in this case. And now underneath this F statement, we're going to be using our rest.json. And now let me just pass the message of movie deleted successful, come on, successfully successfully. And now let me just save there. And now let's just try this out. Okay, so we're going to be just using this delete movie, copy there. And now let me just create a new route right here. I'm going to just give it the name of like delete movie. Let me just change the name of that to delete movie right here in this case. And now let me just place something like that. Let me just remove the reviews, and also there we're going to be using our delete movie. And now let me just provide a specific movie which you want to delete. Okay, so we have the Godfather, and I want to remove that movie, so I'm going to just copy the ID from there. And now let me just place that ID right here. Let me just change that to delete and say bye bye to the Godfather. And here you can see we're now getting the movie deleted successfully. And now let me just save this one and save this one, and this is how we are going to be deleting. Here you can see we have 3 movies, and now if I refresh that, so it's going to only give us that 2 movies. Okay, so this is how we are going to be deleting a specific movie. So now let me take care of deleting a movie review or the comment, whatever you want to call that. So we're going to be just using like review and delete, not review but router.delete, and we're going to be just passing the delete comment in this case. And the user should be authenticated and also authorizes an admin, then they would be able to delete the comment. Okay, so now let me just copy that from here. And now let me just place it right here, save this file. And now let me just go ahead and collapse it right here. Let me just place that right here. And now let's just create that right in here. So I'm going to just say const delete comment, and it's going to be equals to the request response. And now inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block. We're going to take care of the catch in a few seconds, but now we have to destructure the movie ID and also the review ID as well. Okay, so we're going to be just using the request.body, and now we have to just use like movie, and it's going to be equals to the await and movie dot find by ID, and provide our movie ID right here. In this case, let's just remove that empty space from there. And now let me just check if you don't have the movie. So what do you want to show to the user? We just want to say the response and also the status of 404 movie not found. So we're going to be just using like message and then movie not found. Now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to get the review index in this case, and it's going to be coming from the movie and then the reviews. Let me just show you that. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one right here. So we have this movie entire object, and we have this reviews inside there. And then inside this review, so what do you want to do? We just want to use our find index method, and inside there we're going to be just passing our arrow function. It's going to take the review and then the review and a specific ID which we have for that specific movie, and we're going to be converting that to string. And if it's equal to the review ID, so we're going to be just removing that. And if that's not the case, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to use our if statement one more time and review, come on, review index which we have right here, triple equals to -1. If it gives us -1, so what do you want to do in that case? We're going to be using like response.status, and we are going to be just providing that come on let me just provide a message right, and we would say like comment not found. And now underneath that we're going to be just checking like movie and reviews dot splice, and we're going to be just providing our review index, come on, not ID but review index in this case, and also 1 to it. Okay, so we are now splicing our comment, and then we have to just increment or decrement our number of reviews. So we're going to be just writing our number of reviews, and it's going to be equals to the movie and then reviews and then the dot length. And now underneath that, oh what the hell now underneath that, what do you want to do? We just want to take care of the movie rating. So movie dot rating is going to be equals to, or not movie rating but yeah, movie rating will be now equals to the movie dot reviews dot length is greater than 0. If that's the case, let me just provide the length languth. If that's the case, so what do you want to do? We just want to write a movie dot reviews right here in this case, and then we are going to be using the reduce method, and we are going to be providing our accumulator and also the item itself. And now inside there we are going to be using the item dot rating plus the accumulator, and we are going to be passing 0. And now let's just divide that by movie and then reviews the dot, come on, dot length, and then finally we are going to be just providing a 0 if that's not the case. And the final thing which we have to do is that we have to save our comment to the database. So we're going to be using like movie.save, and here let's just use them. And now I'm going to be also using the res.json and provide our message to them, and I'm going to just say like comment deleted successfully. There we go. And yeah, that was it. But now let me just also take care of the what do we call it, the catch statement. And I'm gonna just say console dot error of error in this case, and underneath that we're going to be using like response.status of 500. And now let me just provide a JSON right here, and we're going to be providing the error and error message if we have one. So now let me just save that, and we are going to be testing this out in a few seconds, but we are going to have to provide the movie ID and also the review ID in this case. So now let me just close that, and you know what, first of all let me just go ahead and create a new request right here, and I'm going to give it the name of delete comment. So delete review would be fine rather. And now let me just change that to delete method, and I'm going to also copy that from here. Let me just place that right here. And what are we doing is that first of all we are now providing the, come on, we are just using this delete comment right here. Now let me just copy that from here. Let's just remove all of that, and we're going to be just providing a delete comment in this case. Now let me just click on the body, and inside this body we're going to be just providing first of all the movie ID and then the review ID. So now let me just go ahead and go to there. So in this case if I want to remove, okay, so we only have review for this specific movie, which is Extraction. So now let me just show you that we only review this movie. So the first thing which you want to do is that we want to get the specific movie ID. So we have that ID right here, so I'm going to copy that from here, and now we are going to be just using the movie ID right here. So movie ID, and now let me just paste that right here. Come on, let me just place it right here, and now let me just also provide the review ID right here in this case. So the review ID is this ID right here. So we have this user ID, and we also have this movie, or not movie but review ID right here. Now let me just copy that, and I'm gonna just say review ID, and now let me just place my review ID right here in this case. So it's gonna just remove this comment and also this entire review right here. Okay, so now if I click on this send button, so it's gonna just give us like comment deleted successfully. Now let me just close that, and now let me just reopen that once again, and here you can see the reviews are 0, the reviews are totally gone. Okay, so that was for the Extraction. And now let me just also show you that John Wick, and we don't have no reviews inside there. So this is how we are going to be removing a specific comment. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just take care of the RTK query specific endpoints. So I'm going to just create a comment right here, and I'm going to just give it like RTK query endpoints or something like, oh, you know what, we don't have to do that. Now let me just write a router.get, and we're going to be getting the latest movies. So we will say like new movies, but first of all we will also have to provide this slash right here, and then I'm gonna just say like get new movies right here, movies. And now let me just copy that from here, and now let me just place it right in here, save this file, and now let me just register that. And now underneath that, what do you want to do? We're going to be using our get new movies and async request response. And now inside there we're going to be using our try and catch block. For the catch block we will say like response.status of 500, and now let me just provide my JSON of error and also error.message. And for the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to use our new movies. It's going to be equals to await and then the movie dot find. And now let me just sort that by what? by the created at, and now let me just provide the -0, so it's gonna give us the latest movies. And now let me just also limit that to 10 movies. So you can just limit that to like how many movies that you like, but in my case I'm gonna just limit that to 10. And now let me just use the res.json, and now let me just provide my new movies inside there. Save my file, and now let's just create an endpoint, or not an endpoint, but now let me just test this out. I'm gonna save this file, and I'm going to remove all of them from here so that we can see everything a bit better. And now let me just go ahead and create a new request right here. I'm gonna give it the name of like new movies or something like that. And now I'm going to copy that from here, and now let me just place that right here. And we are going to be using the get. So now let me just show you the endpoint once again. We are going to be sending our request to this new movies. So now let me just copy that, and now let me just place it right here. And as soon as I click on this send button, so it's going to give us only the latest movie right here. So the latest movie was John Wick, and then it's going to also give us that extraction too. And you know what, let me just create a new oh, you know what, that's it. That's it. You can create a new movie and then you can see the result. But here you can see it is now giving us the new movie right here. So yeah, that's that. Now let me just take care of the top movies. So I'm going to just say like router.get, and then we are going to be just providing the top movies in this case, and get top movies. And now let me just copy that from here, and now let me just place it right here, save my file. And now I'm going to also register that here, and now let me just create the controller right here. I'm gonna just say like get top movies and async request response. And now inside there we are going to be using our try and catch block. For the catch we are going to be using like res.status of 500, and then the JSON. Let me just provide my error, and also the error.message. And now for the try block, what do you want to do? We just want to use like const top rated movies, and it's going to be equals to the await, and then movies, or not movies but just a movie, and find. Okay, so then we're going to be sorting that by using the number, the number of reviews, and then we're going to be just providing the -1 right here. And then let's just limit that to 10 movies, and we're going to be just sending that to the user. So we will say the top rated movies. Save this file, but first of all we're going to have to just review specific movie, and then we will be able to see that specific movie. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and go to my review movies, and I'm going to just review a specific movie. So I'm going to just refresh that from here, and we want to review this extraction 2 movie right here. So I'm going to just copy that, and now let me just place it right here, and then I'm going to just give it the review of 2, and I'm going to just remove that from here, and I'm going to just say yeah, it was cool cool movie or something like that. And now let me just click on the send button, so it's going to give us that movie edit, like that review edit right here. Let me just reopen that, and it's going to give us that specific review made by Hussein. Now let me just close that, and now let me just test this get top movies out. So here you can see we already reviewed one of our movie, so it's going to give us that extraction on the top. So now let me just go to that, and that was for the new movie. And now let me just take care of the top rated movie. So I'm gonna just create a new request. I'm gonna give it the name of like top rated movies or something like that, and I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. And now let me just place it right here, and I'm going to just say that this is going to be the top movies. So I'm gonna just copy that, place it right here, and now let me just click on that. So it's going to give us their top movie, which was extraction. Why is that? Because only for this movie we have some sort of a review right here, not for this one and not for the rest of them. So we have only reviewed this specific movie, so that's why we are now getting this extraction on the top. So this is how we are going to be getting the top rated movies. And now finally we're gonna have to take care of the random movies. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, yeah, that's fine, go to my movies routes, and I'm gonna just say like router.get, and in this case we are going to be using like random movies. And now get random movies. Let me just copy that from here, and now let me just place it right here, save our file, and now let me just register that here, and I'm gonna also create that right here. So const this movie, provide a request response to that, and let's just use our arrow function. And now I'm going to be using the try and catch block. For the catch block we will say like response.status of 500, and then the .json, and we will say the error of error message. And also we are going to be just providing a const random movie, and it's going to be equals to the await, and we are going to be getting the movie and then the aggregate function aggregate. We're going to be using our aggregate function, and it shouldn't be a movies but just a movie. And now we are going to be just providing first of all the sample, and then we are going to be providing the size, and the size will be 10 in this case. So we're going to be just getting a random movies, and then we are going to be just writing a res.json, and let's just provide our random movies in this case. So now let me just save there, and now let me just test this out. So I'm going to go ahead and copy there random movies, and now let me just test this out. So I'm going to just create a new request right here, add request, and I'm going to just say like random movies. And now let me just copy that from here. Let's just place there, and now instead of writing a top, I'm gonna just change that to random. Okay, so now let me just click on the send button. So it's gonna just gives us that John Wick, and then it's gonna gives us that extraction. But if I click on that once again, and here you can see it's going to give us that extraction, and then it's going to give us that John Wick. But if you have a lot of movies, so it's going to just give you a random movie inside from that what do you call it, from that entire database. So now let me just save that, and I guess that was it about for all of the backend of the movies. Now we are able to create a movie, get all of the movies, get a specific movie, update a movie, review a movie, delete a movie, delete a comment from a movie, get new movies, get top movies, and random movies as well. So that was the entire flow of the backend of the movies. So now let me just take care of the front end. So that was about the random movies, and now let's talk about the image upload. So for that we are going to be creating a route right here. So we're going to have to provide the version 1 and then upload. And now let me just provide my upload routes right here. I'm going to copy that, save my file, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to my routes, and here we are going to be creating a route of upload routes.js. Now let me just show you that. I'm gonna hit enter right here, and the first thing we would need is a path from path, and then we would also need the express.js from the express.js, and we would also need the multer. So now let's just grab that, and now what I want to do is that we're going to be creating a router, and it's going to be just the instance of express and router. And now let's just execute that. Now underneath that, let's create our storage. So I'm going to be creating my storage, storage, and it's going to be equals to the multer.disk storage right here. This is a method on the multer. Now let me just put my destination of request and file, and also the callback function. And now inside there, what I want to do is that for the callback function, we're not going to be providing anything for the first parameter, and for the next parameter we're going to be providing the uploads folder, which we're going to be creating right here inside our root. So now let me just create a folder of upload or uploads with S. I'm gonna just create that, and now what I want to do is that underneath these curly braces, I'm going to be writing my file name, and it's going to be equals to request and also the file and the callback function. And now inside there we are going to be just creating our extension name. So ext name is going to be equals to the path.extension name. This is the method which we have on the Node.js, and we're going to be just grabbing the file and original name. Okay, so now underneath that we're going to be passing our callback function. For the first parameter we're not going to be providing anything to that. For the second parameter we are going to be providing the file field name, and then we're going to be just providing the dash, and here for the uniqueness we're going to be just providing a date.now, and then finally we just have to add our extension name. Okay, so that's, now let's just save our file. So that was it for the storage, and now let's just take care of the file filter. So I'm going to be just creating a function. I'm going to give it the name of like file filter, and it's going to be taking the request and the file and the callback function as well. And now inside there we're going to have to first of all take care of the file types, and it's going to be not like that, but file types in lowercase, and it should be the JPEG and also the PNG and also the WEBP, and that's a different file formats. And then we have to write a MIME type, MIME types, and it's going to be equals to the images or image, and then we can also provide the type of JPE question mark G, and then we can also use the image, and let's just provide what do we call it, the PNG as well, and we can also provide the MIME type of WEBP. Okay, so now let me just close that, and I guess we're missing something. I don't know why, but it feels a bit off. So you know what, let me just close that right here, and there we go. So that's that. Now the next thing which you want to do is that we still want to get our what do we call it, or extension. So now let me just grab that from here, and now let me just place there. And what else do I have to do is that I'm going to be just typing the MIME type, not with S but just MIME type. Okay, so just a singular. And now let me just paste my file and then MIME type. Come on, MIME, and then type. There we go. Now underneath there, what do we have to do? We are going to be just writing a file types, and then we have a test. Okay, so we are going to be testing the extension name, and let me just write it, and the MIME types in this case, and we're going to be also testing the MIME what do we call MIME type as well. Now inside there, we're going to be also creating our callback function. Now let me just pass my null and also the true, and then for the else clause, what I want to do, I'm going to be passing my callback function and new error. And now in this case, I'm going to be just passing the error of images only. And now let me just pass my file right, false right here in this case. Now let me just save this file, and underneath this function we're going to be creating our upload. It's going to be equals to the multer, and now let me just provide the storage and also the file types, or not a file type but a file filter. And now let me just take care of uploading a single image. So I'm going to just write like const upload single image, and it's going to be equals to upload.single. And now let me just pass my image right here inside there. So underneath there, we're going to be just providing our method of post. On this endpoint, we're going to be posting our image, and let me just provide my request and also the response. And now what I want to do is that we're going to be using upload single image, which we just created up above. And now let me just provide my request response and also the error as well. And now inside this error function, we're going to be checking if we have some sort of an error. Then what do you want to show to user? We just want to show that response.status of 400 to the message, and then we have to just write a ERR of message, that specific error message. And if that's not the case, so we're going to be checking for the request.file, and inside there we're going to be sending the response of status of 200. And now let me just send my JSON my object, and we're going to be sending the message of image uploaded, uploaded successfully. There we go. Now let me just provide my image, and we are going to be providing our image of, first of all, we are going to be providing this random path, which will be request.file.path. And now let me just save that. Okay, so now if that's not the case, what do you want to do in that case? So we are going to be just sending this response like send.status of 400. And now let me just send the error message right here. So we're going to be sending the message of no image file provided. There we go. Okay, so now let me just save that, and everything is looking totally okay, and we don't have any errors right here. So finally, now let me just export my router. So I'm going to be just writing export default of router right here. So now let me just save that, and now we're totally done with this file. Now let me just close that, and we have to grab that right here. So I'm going to just remove that. Okay, so it's not going to give me the autocomplete, so I'm going to just grab that manually. So now let me just write import upload routes, and then let's just go ahead and go to our routes, and then we have to go to the upload routes.js right here. We are going to be first of all getting the directory name. So we are going to be using like their name is going to be equals to path.resolve. And now let me just execute that, and now we are going to be making that static. So we are going to be using like app.use, and for this uploads folder, what do you want to do? We are going to be using like express.static, and then we have to just use a path.join, and here we just have to provide our directory name, and then we have to add this uploads folder inside this. So uploads, there we go. And now let me just save that, and that's everything we need to do for, what do we call it, for the image upload. There we go. Now let me just close these, and what I want to do is that I want to create yet another what do we call it, yet another request. And now inside that request, we are going to be testing our file upload. And now let me just give it the name of like file or image upload. And now let me just make that as a post request. I'm going to just copy that, and now let me just place it right here. And for the API, we are going to be using this API, so I'm going to just copy that, and we're not going to be providing the version ones and all of that. Let's just remove that. We're going to be providing the upload and provide something right here. So what I want to do is that I'm going to just click on the body, and then I'm going to just click on the form data, and now let me just provide like some sort of an image right here, and the image will be some sort of a file. So now let me just click on that, add new file from your local machine. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to just go to my images, and I'm going to just add this image right here. Click on the open, and now let me just click on this send button right here. So here you can see it's going to give us that image is now successfully uploaded. And now let's just test this out. and here you can see inside this uploads folder we have our image right here, which is Jonathan Wick. And shout out to this website. I just grabbed this image from that website. Now let me just test another image. So I'm gonna just go ahead and remove that. Let's just remove that from here. Let me just close that, and let me just add another image right here, and I'm gonna just add the Spider-Man. Let me just add that and click on the send button. So here you can see it's gonna add this another image to my folder right here, which is the Spider-Man. Okay, so yeah, this is how we are going to be adding our images by using Node.js. We are now totally done with the backend functionality. Now let's go ahead and go to our front end, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to my src, then the redux, and then the constants. And now let me just create my constant right here, and we're going to be creating a constant first of all for the movies. So we will just write a movie URL, and it's going to be equals to the API and then version 1 of movies. And the next one which we are going to be also creating is for the upload URL. It's going to be equals to, first of all, let's just go ahead and go to the API, then version 1, and then upload. Now let me just save that. Let's just close it right here, and I want you to get ready yourself for creating a lot of endpoints. So we're going to be just creating a movies.js file inside this API. And now the first thing which you have to do is that we have to grab our API slice. Let's just grab them manually, and now let's go ahead and go to our API slice. And now underneath that we're going to also need the movie URL and also the upload, come on, UPLO, god damn it, UPLOAD upload URL. There we go. And now underneath there, what do we have to do? Let's just go back. We just have to export our const of movies API slice, and it's going to be equal to the API slice. And now let me just inject my endpoints right here. Now let me just save that, and inside there we're going to have to pass our object, and now inside this object we're going to be defining our endpoints. So now for the endpoints we are going to be providing the builder, and now inside there let me just provide my get all movies, and it's going to be equals to the builder dot query. And now let's just provide our query right here inside there. And now inside this arrow function we're going to be providing first of all our movie URL, and then we have to provide our all all movies in lowercase. Now let's just close that and provide a comma here, and that was our first endpoint. Now let me just go back and let's just create a movie. Okay, so we are going to be creating an endpoint for that. So to create a movie, for that we are going to be using the create movie. Let me just pass my builder dot mutation, and inside there we are going to be passing our query. Let me just pass my query, and we are going to be also providing the new movie, and it's going to be inside. Let me just put that inside, and we're going to be providing the URL first of all, and the URL will be the movie URL, and we're going to be specifically go to the create movie. And now let me just provide a comma here, and now let me just provide the method of post. So we're going to be posting there, and we would also need to provide some sort of a body, and inside the body we're going to be providing our new movie. So that was it about for creating the movie. Now let's just take care of updating the movie. So to do that, first of all we're going to be using the update movie, and we're going to be passing the builder dot mutation because we are changing something inside there, and we have to just specify the query, and we have to provide the ID and also the updated movie as well. Okay, so now inside there we are going to be just passing our arrow function, and first of all we have to provide our URL, and for the URL we are going to be first of all providing our movie URL, and then we are going to be going into the update movie, come on, in lowercase, update and movie, and then we have to specify their specific ID of the movie, and then we have to specify the method, and I'm going to be just passing the method of put to it, and then finally we have to provide the body of update movie, or it should be updated movie rather. Now let me just provide a comma here. Now underneath there, what do we have to do? We are going to be creating yet another endpoint for update movie review, REVIEW. And now let me just provide my builder, not this one, but builder dot mutation. And for the mutation we're going to be passing the query, and inside there we're going to be passing the ID, the rating, and also the comment. And we are going to be providing the URL first of all. So for the URL we're going to be passing the movie URL, and then we're going to be also providing a specific ID inside there, and then finally our reviews. There we go. Now underneath there we're going to also provide the method of post because we're now posting our data. And now let me just provide the body, and inside the body we're going to be providing the rating, ID, and also the comment. Okay, so now let me just save there, and I just want to make sure that this is a put method, and yeah, it is. Now underneath there we're going to be providing yet another endpoint for deleting the comment. Okay, so now let me just provide my builder.mutation, and inside this mutation we're going to be providing the query, and it's going to take the movie ID and also the review ID as well. Okay, so now inside there we're going to be providing our URL, and the URL will be the movie URL, and also we're going to have to pass the delete comment, and now underneath that we're going to be providing the method of delete to it, because we are deleting something, so the method will be deleted. So now let me just provide my movie ID and also my review ID as well. Now let me just save that. Let me just create an endpoint for deleting the entire movie. So we're going to be using like delete movie, and it's going to be a builder.mutation, and now inside there we're going to be passing the query, and for the query it's going to take the ID, and based on that specific ID we're going to be deleting our movie. So now let me just provide my movie URL. Come on, movie URL, there we go. And we also have to provide the delete movie, and then we are going to be deleting the specific movie by this specific ID. Okay, so now let me just provide a comma, and the method should be a delete because we are deleting a movie, so we have to provide the method of delete to it. Now underneath that we're going to be also adding what do we call it, we're going to be also adding endpoint for get specific movie. Okay, so we're going to be using a builder.query in this case because we are only fetching some sort of data, we are not mutating that data. And now let me just specify the ID inside there, and then we have to specify the arrow function, and I'm going to be passing my movie URL, and then inside there we're going to be defining our specific movie and then the ID of that specific movie. Okay, so now let me just save there. Underneath this endpoint we have to create yet another endpoint. Now underneath there we're going to be defining yet another endpoint for upload image, and now let me just take care of this. We are going to be using like builder.mutation, and now inside there we're going to be providing the query of arrow function of form data. Okay, so now inside there let me just pass my data and also my arrow function. We're going to be defining our URL, and the URL will take the upload URL, and it's not going to take anything else than that. And now let me just provide my method of totally post, and then also we have to define our body, and the body will be that form data. Okay, so now we're totally done with that. Now let me just provide my comma here. Now underneath there we're going to be creating an endpoint for get new movie, or movies rather, and we're going to be just using like builder.mutation, not mutation, but in this case we're now getting some sort of data, so we have to use the query. And now if you want to query that, for that we're going to be using this arrow function, and we're going to be using the endpoint of the movie URL first of all, and then we have to just write a new movies. There we go. Okay, so now let me just, I'm not going to duplicate that. Let me just provide a comma here, and let's just remove that from here. And now the next thing which you want to do is that you want to get the top movies, and we're going to be using like builder.query, and we are going to be using almost the same function as the previous one. So now let me just add my arrow function inside there, and we are going to be using like my movie URL, and then we want to go to the top movies. There we go. Okay, so now let me just duplicate this one. What the hell? And now let me just put a comma here, and I'm going to just change the name of that to like get random movies. Now let me just change this top and change that to random movies right here. So now let me just save that, and that was a lot of endpoint right here, but we did that. Now let me just create a hooks based on these endpoints, and then we're going to be using that inside our component. So now let me just use the export const, and now let me just grab that from the movies API slice. Okay, so now inside there, first of all we're going to be exporting the use get all movies, then we're going to be also exporting the use create movie mutation, and then also the use update movie mutation, then also use add movie review, and use delete comment, and also the use get specific movie query, and also the use upload image mutation. And now let me just provide a comma and use get new movies, and let me just save that, and I'm gonna just provide my comment right here. This is going to be for the dashboard, or I'm not going to provide their dashboard right here because we can use that in other places if we wanted to. So use get top movies, and also the use get random movie, come on, random movies as well. So yeah, that was all of the endpoint we have to create, and also that was a lot of hooks. Okay, so that was a long journey, but we did that. So that's totally done. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to create a movie. So for that, we're gonna have to go ahead and go to our pages, and inside these pages we're going to be going into the admin, and inside this admin we're going to be creating our what do we call it, or create, come on, let me just remove this cursor. We're going to be creating our create movie.jsx. So now let me just write my RAFC inside there. Let me just save there, and we're gonna have to go ahead and go to the main and register there right here. Okay, so now let me just duplicate there, and instead of writing this genre, I'm gonna just write a create right here, and I'm going to just remove there and change that to create movie, and it's gonna auto import there for me. Let me just go back, and now let me just save there, and I'm going to copy that from here. Let me just copy that entire thing from here, and I'm going to place it right here. But first of all, I'm going to have to just stop my server, and I'm going to be using the npm run full stack in this case, not just a backend but the full stack, and it's going to run my front end and also my backend. So now let me just place it right here, and I'm going to be just placing there, hit enter, and here you can see it's gonna just gives us, first of all we have to log in as an admin. I forgot to do that, so now let me just log in as an admin, and I'm going to just write Hussein12, and it's gonna log in as an admin right here. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to place this endpoint right here, and now let me just hit enter, and here you can see it's gonna give us that create movie right here, okay, which is totally amazing. So yeah, what I want to do is that I'm gonna go ahead and go to my create movie, and now let's just take care of that. And the first thing which I want to do is that I want to grab my use effect and also the use stat, and the next thing which I want to grab is the use navigate from the React router DOM in this case. So React router DOM, let's just close that, and we are going to be also importing a few hooks from our RTK query, which will be something, but I'm going to show you that in a few seconds. Let me just go ahead and go to my Redux, then let me just go to my API, and then movies, and now inside there we are going to be just grabbing two. So we are going to be grabbing like use create mutation, create movie mutation, and then use upload image mutation right here. So that's there. Now let me just also get all of the movies. So for that we are going to be getting there from same path. Let's just go ahead and go to the Redux, then the API, and we're going to be getting the genre, not the movies but the genre, and I'm going to be just using like use fetch genres query right here. So it's going to give us all of their genres, and now let me just import my toast from where, from the React Toastify. Okay, so now let me just save there, and that's everything we need for now. And now let me just create an instance of my navigate. So const navigate, and it's going to be equals to the use navigate, and now let me just execute that, navigate, which is totally correct. And now let me just create my stat for the movie. So we're going to be just writing like movie data, and then we have a set movie data, there we go, and we're going to be using the use stat. And now let me just provide my object. First of all, we're going to be providing the name of the movie, then the year, and the initial value will be set to 0, then the detail will be also set to DETAI, come on, DETAIL. But now let me just check my come on, my model, and let me just check, was that a detail or a details? Okay, that was just a detail. Now let me just copy that, and let me just place it right here, and that was correct. And now let me just provide the cast, and the cast was an empty object, empty array rather. And now let me provide my rating of 0, and also the image will be totally null, and also the genre will be set to empty string. Now let me just also create a stat for the selected image. So I'm going to just say like selected image, and also set selected image will be now equals to the use stat, and we're going to be just providing the null inside there. And now underneath there we're going to be destructuring something from our RTK query endpoints, and we're going to be destructuring there first of all from the use create movie, and we are going to be first of all destructuring our create movie, and then not in uppercase but in lowercase. So we have a create movie, and then we're going to be doing a nested destructuring. So we're going to be destructuring the is loading, and we're going to be renaming that to is creating movie. So we are now renaming that. And now let me just also destructure the error, and also I'm going to just rename that to like movie error detail or something like that. And yeah, you can give it any name you like, but in my case that's totally fine. And now let me just destructure something from the use upload image mutation, and we're going to be destructuring first of all the upload come on, upload image, and then we would also do a nested destructuring of is loading, and then we have to just give it some sort of a name. So I'm going to just give it the name of like is uploading image, and then also for the error we're going to be also providing the name of like upload image error ERROR details. There we go. Okay, so now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to fetch all of our genres. So we are going to be destructuring there from the, what do we call it, from the use fetch genres query. And now let me just fetch them, and we are going to be just getting the data. I'm going to rename that to genres, and also we are going to be fetching or is loading, and we are going to be renaming that to like is loading genres. Okay, so now underneath there we are going to be using the use effect to get all of the genres in the first render. Let me just put my arrow function inside there, and here for the dependency array we are going to be just porting our genres, and inside there we are going to be checking if we have the genres. So what do you want to do in that case? We just want to set movie data, and here we're going to be just passing our previous stat or previous data right here. And now inside there, what do you want to do? We just want to provide our previous data, first of all, previous data, and then we are going to be providing, or we are going to be mutating our genre, and we are going to be just setting that to like genres. And here we're going to be taking the first index, and if we have that, we're going to be just getting the ID from there. And if that's not the case, we're going to be just setting that to empty string. Okay, so that's there. Now let me just save that, and I'm going to just place the styling right here, and you should do the same. Now inside there we're going to be creating our form. Let's just remove this action from there, and now inside this form we're going to be just creating our paragraph, and I'm going to just say like create movie. I'm going to also provide the styling to it. So now let me just save there, and let's just check this out. And here you can see we are now getting our create movie right here, which is totally amazing. Now underneath there we're going to be creating our div with the class is of margin for the bottom of 4, and now inside there we're going to be providing our label, and for the label we're not going to be providing any HTML4, but we will provide some sort of a class to it. So I'm going to just provide a class of block to it, and now inside there we're going to be just providing the name, and let me just also provide my input inside there. Type will be set to text, and now inside there we're going to be also providing the name to it, and the name will be a name, and I'm going to also provide the value of movie data dot name. Let me just also attach the event handler on there. So I'm going to just pass the handle change event handler right here, and which we did not create, by the way, but we will create that in a few seconds. And now let me just attach some classes to it. So pairing for the x-axis will be set to 2, and pairing for the y-axis will be set to 1, and width will be totally full. So now let me just save there and comment this line out for a second. Save there, and here you can see we are now getting our name right here, and that's looking totally amazing. You can change the UI if you wanted to, but in my case that's gonna do it. Let me just copy this div and duplicate there a few times. So first of all, we're going to be duplicating there for the year, then for the detail, then for the genre, and one time for the cast, and I guess that's going to do it. So I'm going to go to the top, and first of all we have a name, and now the next one we have is year. So I'm going to just type the year right here. I'm going to also change the type of number, and also let me just provide year in this case, and inside the movie data we're going to be just providing our year, and we also have a handle change right here for this one as well, and we're not going to be changing anything inside there. Now the next one we have is a detail. So now let me just change that to detail, uppercase D, and then tails in lowercase, and I'm going to be just removing this input field from here. And now let me just provide my text area, and inside this text area we are going to be providing for the name as a detail, and for the ID we are not going to be providing any IDs to it, and we are not going to be providing any rows and columns inside there. Okay, so now let me just provide the value, and the value will be like movie data, and then we have our detail right here inside there. Now let me just attach my own change event handler on there, and we're going to be passing our handle change event handler, which we did not create yet. Okay, so now let me just copy some styling from here, and let me just place it right here. God damn it, let's just cut that from here. And let me just place it right here, save my file, and comment this line out. Okay, so that's there. Instead of writing this name, let's just remove this name, and I'm going to just provide a cast of comma separated, separated, and let's just provide our separator right here, and everything else should be the same. But let me just provide for the name of cast, and then we have a movies data, and then cast, and we're going to be just providing the join method on there, and let's just provide a comma and space. Okay, so that's there, and we're going to be also attaching our event handler. But now let me just remove that from here, and we're going to be attaching the event. And now let me just use my set movies data, and here we are going to be first of all providing the movie. Let me just use my spread operator, and now let me just provide my movie data. First of all, we're going to be providing that, and then we're going to be just changing the cast to the event.target.value, and now let me just split all of that, and we're going to be splitting that, and now let me just provide a comma and space. So that's everything that you have to do. Let's just take care of the genre. So let me just write a genre, and also we have to just remove this entire input field right here. I'm going to just remove this entire input field, and I'm going to just change that to select, and inside this select we're going to be providing the name of genre to it, and for the ID we're not going to be providing the ID. We're going to be providing the value, and the value will be movie data dot genre, and now inside there we're going to be also providing the on change event handler on there, and that same handle change event handler which we're going to be creating in a few seconds. Okay, so yeah, let me just copy that entire thing from there, and now let me just place it right here, and that's gonna do it. But now let me just save there. I'm gonna comment this line out for a second like so, and now inside this select statement, what do you want to do? We just want to check for is loading genre. If it has this genre right here, we're going to be passing our option. Let me just pass my option right here and close that. Okay, and we're going to be just saying like loading genres ... Okay, so if that's not the case, what do you want to do in that case? We're going to be just iterating over through all of the genres that we currently have by using the map method, and let me just provide my genre name, and now inside that we're going to be just passing our arrow function, and that's looking awful, but let's just remove that. So we have our genre, and yeah, you know what, let me just close that. That's looking totally awful. Let's just remove that, and let me just try that once again. Iterate over through all of the genres by using the map method, and we are going to be also passing the genre, and inside there what do you want to do? You just want to attach our option. So now let me just attach my option, and I'm going to be attaching the key first of all, and the key will be my genre and then their specific ID from that genre, and then we are going to be also providing the value right here, and the value will be genre and then the specific ID from their genre. Okay, so then we have to also write a genre.name, and now let me just save that. Okay, so that's every single thing that we have to take care of right now. But you know what, underneath this select and also this label and also this div, but inside this form, and let me just create a div with a class of margin for the bottom will be set to 4, and we're going to be just passing the label of, we're not going to be providing any HTML4 to that, but we will provide a styling to that. So for the styling, we're going to be checking if you don't have the selected image, then what do you want to do? We just want to attach the border of 1 pixel solid, come on, solid, and then 888, come on, 88, come on, 888, there we go. And also let me just provide a comma here. I'm going to be also passing the border radius, BORDR RADUS, and for the border radius we're going to be passing the 5 pixel border, and also we're going to be adding that padding of 8 pixel. Okay, that's not the case, what do you want to do in that case? So now inside there we're going to be adding these styling right here, just a border of 0 and the border radius of 0, and padding will be also set to 0. Okay, so yeah, that's cool. But now inside this label, we are going to be rendering our image and also their input. So we are going to be checking if we don't have the selected image, and we just want to show that upload, come on, upload image, come on, let me just type image right here, and underneath that we're going to be just providing our input, and the type will be just set to file. And now we are going to be also accepting all of the images. So now let me just add image and every single image, and on change we're going to be just typing our handle handle image change, which we're going to be creating in a few seconds. And now let me just add a bit of styling to it. Display will be now set to not selected image, and if that's not the case, so we are going to be just writing a none, and if that is the case, we are going to be setting that to block. Okay, so now let me just save there, and now let me just comment this line out. We are going to be creating that in a few seconds, but it will take a bit of time. Now underneath this label and also this div, we are going to be creating our button. So now let me just finally create my button right here, and we are going to be providing the type first of all, and the type will be set to button, and we're going to be also attaching the on click event handler on there, and handle create movie in this case. And now let me just add these classes. So I'm gonna just copy that, and now let me just place that right here, and you should do the same. Let me just comment this line out. We're going to be also attaching the disable stat as well, and if that is not creating a movie. So what do you want to do in that case? Or is uploading the image. Okay, so if that's the case, so now inside there we're going to be just attaching or is creating a movie, or is uploading the image. And if that's the case, so we're going to be just saying like creating ... And if that's not the case, so we're going to be just saying like create movie in this case. Okay, so yeah, now let me just save that. And that was it about for this entire UI. And that's a lot of coding and a lot of explanation of every single line. And yeah, now let me just check this out. And here you can see we have the UI right here. You can totally definitely change the UI if you wanted to, but currently we have every single thing that we currently need right here. So now let me just finally attach the functionality. And first of all, we're going to be just starting from what do you call it, creating a movie, but we are going to be starting from the handle change. Now I'm going to just uncomment there, and let me just see, we have this handle change right here. Now let me just uncomment this line out as well. Now let me just select the hit Control D one more time. Let me just select this handle change one more time and hit Control D. We have yet another, let me just select and hit Control D. So we have yet another handle change right here. Let's just uncomment that, and let me just hit Control D one more time. And yeah, we are now totally done with that. But now let me just copy that, and let's just create our handle change up above these JSX right here. Okay, so we're going to be just creating like const handle change, and we're going to be just passing the event object inside there, and we're going to be destructuring two things from the event.target object. Okay, so we're going to be just destructuring first of all the name and also the value from there. Okay, so now underneath there, what do you want to do? We have to first of all provide the equal to sign right here. Now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to check if name is triple equal to the genre. Then what do you want to do in that case? We just want to first of all take the selected genre, and come on, GENRE, come on, selected genre, and it's going to be equals to the genres dot genres dot find method, and we're going to be passing our genre in this case. And here we are going to be just checking like genre dot name is triple equal to the value. Okay, so then it's going to give us that selected genre. We can totally log there. You can totally log there if you wanted to, but I'm not going to, and you guys already know all of that stuff, so that's why I'm going a bit fast. Now let me just add my set movie data. And here inside there, we are going to be just providing the previous data for the previous state. And now let me just pass my arrow function inside there. Come on, arrow function, there we go. And now first of all, we're going to be just adding our previous data, and then inside, come on, previous data, let me just copy the preview data from there, and now let me just place it right here. But then we are going to be mutating our state or changing our state by using the genre. If the selected genre, so what do you want to do in there? We're going to be just providing like selected genre. Let me just add a genre and then the specific ID from there. And if that's not the case, we're going to be just setting that to empty string. Okay, so that's there. Now let me just save this file, but something is not okay. And that's because we forgot to include the curly braces. Let me just add a curly brace there, and let's just add it right here, save our file. Let me just copy that and place that one more time. What the hell am I doing? And that was for the if statement, but now for the else statement, what do you want to do in that case? We're going to be adding the set movie data. Let me just add my previous data one more time, and now let me just pass my arrow function inside there, and let's just add our previous data, and we're going to be just adding the name and value to that name. Okay, so that's that, and we are now totally done with this function. Now let me just save that, and we are not going to be testing that right here because it will create a movie for us without any specific data, and it's going to just give us an error. Now let me just take care of the image and also the create movie function. So now let me just take care of that. I'm going to just collapse it right here for a few seconds. Image change, so we have that handle image change in one area, which you can see right here. Now let me just copy the name, and let me just go to the top, and here we're going to be just creating that function right here. Okay, so underneath this function we're going to be creating our handle image change. So now let me just create that, and this is totally simple function. You will see that. So first of all, we need the file, and we're going to be getting that file by using e.target.files, and we only need the first one, and then we're going to be just changing our set selected image, and we're going to be just passing our file inside there. And that was it about this function, baby. That was it. And now let me just take care of this handle create movie. So we have that in one place, and now let me just click on there, and here you can see we have there. Let me just uncomment this, save my file and copy there. Let me just go to the top one more time and let me just create their function right here, and this is going to be the big one. Okay, so underneath this function, let me just collapse there right here. We are going to be creating or handle create movie. So now let me just create like const handle create movie. It's going to be asynchronous function, async function.